All right.
The checks and balance, but don't be.
Listen to this caller to Nationwide. Listen to this.
The politics now, man. People are suffering. It's very hard.
I'm going to be blunt, and I stand to be corrected by Mr. Golding and his handlers. Mr. Golding next year is going to find out whether he is facing a potential challenge to stay as opposition leader, or as PNP president. And what they're attempting to do now is to shore up his image and his vote.
Okay, now, is there a challenge mounting in the party on the leadership of Mr. Golding? Is Mr. Golding about to be challenged for leadership of the People's National Party next year? Well, Siobhan Campbell hinted at that Mark Golding is likely to be challenged by there are fractions in the party lining up behind a particular candidate to challenge Golding for leadership next year. Let's consider the scenario. Please remember to send your gifts if you are in Jamaica. 876-858-9553. We're accepting gifts. Help us to meet our live goal. And if you can contribute to tonight's program fee, Zelle 954-635-8732. I want you to make a very special effort to send a contribution tonight. Okay, it's Friday. We need it, please. Let's do our best tonight to support the program at the end of the week. We've missed all our targets. So we're asking you tonight to 954-635-8732. Do what you can for the program tonight. I beg you. Well, we're not begging you. We're asking you. Is the writing on the wall for Mr. Golding? Is the writing on the wall? You know, I noticed that Mr. Golding, since his election loss, is lacking in confidence. I have tested his body language, and this is a man lacking in confidence. I don't know whether or not he will survive 4 years or 5 years. The government's term has just begun. How old will Mark Golding be at the next election? The comrades have tuned in. They have taken out their tapes. They are beginning to record. Well, press play. Press record. Let's consider the scenario. Mark Golding's leadership has been criticized for lacking in patriotism. And I've tested this, you know. Even Dion Jackson Miller, who many feel is carrying the PNP's line, was critical of the PNP.
The opposition has been doing holy for ball.
Listen to Mrs. Miller. Dion. Listen to Dion. Hello, Dion.
Playing about how it's being left out of the relief efforts. So why turn down an invitation like this? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Where you do not make sense. Even if this joint select committee is chaired by
where you do not make sense. Dion Jackson Miller is telling the PNP that where them do not make no sense. There is a quiet call for Golding to resign, to go in grace and save the party from embarrassment. A quiet call. And my understanding is that Golding is going to be challenged for leadership next year. And Siobhan Campbell, who is a journalist at Nationwide, has confirmed that. Do we have Siobhan? Do we have Siobhan Campbell? Yeah, let's see if we can hear him again. Siobhan?
They do the checks and balance, but don't bring up the politics now, man. People are suffering. It's very hard.
I'm going to be blunt, and I stand to be corrected by Mr. Golding and his handlers. Mr. Golding next year is going to find out whether he is facing a potential challenge to stay as opposition leader, or as PNP president.
You hear that? You hear that? I tell you, you never see smoke without fire. You never see smoke without fire. There is a view in the society that Golding has been unpatriotic and that he can't beat Andrew. That's just the blunt truth. The PNP is having to deal with the reality that a fourth term is staring them dead in the face. And the comrades cannot feel happy about that. You know, Ralph Gonzalez served St. Vincent for over 20 years. The People's National Party had 4 terms in government. In 1989, Michael Manley unfortunately took ill. P.J. Patterson won 3 elections. So the PNP did 4 terms. And the Labour Party is about to hit them with a 4th term. The view is that Mark Golding cannot win any election in Jamaica against Holness, and Holness is not going to be stepping away from the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party. I can tell you that. Like Mr. Siaga, full of vim, vigor, and vitality. 53. He's got about 2 more terms left in him. the strategists of the Labour Party are looking at well, I leave that for you. But let's consider the scenario. Mr. Golding's response to the government's recovery efforts are being perceived as tone deaf and the morale in his own party is low. They don't feel that he has been patriotic. No. Thomas Hobbes speaks of what is called the social contract. The social contract. And under the social contract, leaders who are entrusted with power should serve the people. And the thinking now is that Golding is not serving the Jamaican people. There is a quiet call building in the society that he should resign. Because when leaders fail to serve the people, their legitimacy is called into question. How do you go to parliament when people don't have no roof over their head? The road mash up. Farmers don't have no field. Small businesses destroyed. And talk about sobriety. That we must be sober. How do you do that? How do you go to parliament with the reality of a $6.7 billion being made available to the government, and you go there talking about sobriety? People in his own party were disappointed. They're not telling him to his face, but they whisper it. That no, man, they expected that the leader of the opposition would have been a little bit more patriotic. Because the people of Jamaica are not passive observers, you know. They are very much involved and want their country to be built back. And so under this social contract theory, it has been argued that Mr. Golding has lost his legitimacy. That he is no longer seen as viable. That's a breach of the contract. That he has breached his contract with the Jamaican people. You know, under the Westminster model, when you lose elections, you don't really stay around, you know. You offer your resignation. And you notice how quickly after the general election that all the MPs signed the paper, except one, for Mr. Golding to remain. And so a challenge to Mr. Golding's leadership would be a natural consequence of his failures. You know, Machiavelli, philosopher Machiavelli, speaks of the prince. The prince must be willing to adapt and respond to challenging circumstances. Mr. Golding has not adapted nor responded to the challenging circumstances. He has not connected with the people, and he has not provided effective opposition, and therefore he has created within the party an opportunity for others to step forward. I understand Mr. Crawford is listening to the program. Damien, good evening to you, Damien. Do you agree with me, sir? That Golding has not provided effective opposition, and therefore he has opened up the door? Has he opened it for you, sir? Is it you that is going to be stepping forward? Love to talk to you about it. Anyway, given the circumstances, it might be in the opposition leader's best interest to resign and allow for a new leader to emerge and revitalize the PNP, because the PNP is not very active. What is coming out for opposition are vloggers. And the quality of the vloggers, I must tell you, are bloggers and vloggers. The quality is woeful. I am shocked to hear that some of these guys are being paid to peddle the party's message online, because they are really very, very weak. I put out a challenge right now to any of the PNP vloggers to come here for a discussion. I'll give you 10 minutes. Any one of you that vlogs for the opposition, I invite you to send us a request, and let's have a conversation on this matter. I'll have you. I send out the challenge. Derval, you want to come up? Derval? Andre, what about you? Alvaro, voice of the nation? Mama San, any one of you? Are you there? Come on up. Come talk to neighbor. let's pick you apart and see how good you are. Is there anyone there, Caroline? Have any one of them accepted the challenge? Hugh Blair?
No.
No. Yeah. Well, let's give them a let's give them a minute.
Tap and share, please. Tap and share. Repost the live.
All of them that are over on their platforms chatting. Here is your opportunity. Come. All right. What about Noel? Hey, Noel, you want to come up? Prime time. I'll give you 10 minutes in prime time. Come and defend your party. Come on now. Come along. Come along. We'll have you. I challenge you. Don't hide behind your little page and cuss people out. Come on now. You're big and bad, and you can debate, you can argue. Come along. Come along. We'll be very respectful to you, and we'll give you time to talk. I'm moving along, and Caution. Are you prepared, Mr. Caution? Come along. I doubt you will. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath. Anyway, given the circumstances, it probably is Mr. Golding's best interest to resign, allowing a new leader to emerge and revitalize the opposition. Because this would spare him of the humiliation of another election defeat, which is almost imminent. They say a day in politics is a long time, so you don't write anyone off, but my understanding is that confidence is lacking, that the party can mount a very effective election campaign against the vaunted machinery of the Jamaica Labour Party. You know, good leaders prioritizes the greater good. Mr. Siaga was weak in that regard. If I may make a criticism of him, he stayed on too long. Great leaders prioritize the greater good. And in this case, Golding's departure as president of the PNP could be a selfless act, enabling the PNP to regroup and refocus on serving Jamaica. Time up or time come. There's a vast contrast between the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party and the leader of the People's National Party. And if you analyze their responses to the hurricane, you can learn a lot about their values. Wholeness has definitely demonstrated patriotism. Ima wana we. Such is his patriotism that he has garnered in less than 35 days 6.7 billion United States dollars. Right as I'm speaking to you, there is a ship, a hospital in Montego Bay from China, seeing over 600 people per day. The private sector in Jamaica, Adam Stewart brought in Bill Clinton into the island yesterday, you know. Flew Bill Clinton over St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, Westmoreland and Hanover. And all the government ministers were having dinner with Bill Clinton yesterday. Yeah. Never saw any opposition people there. You can't get bigger than that. You cannot get bigger than Bill Clinton. I tell you that. Yes, that's what Adam Stewart. Did you hear what Adam Stewart said? That Jamaica is going to be okay. That's a private sector. Sandal's boss. Wholeness is backed by the private sector. And he's backed by the international community. That's why Scratchy pointed out last night that when you hear little friars on the island talking about overthrow, go on your bed. No, don't pay that no mind. There is a concept in philosophy called categorical imperative. Categorical imperative. And it's a man by the name of Immanuel Kant that came up with that concept of categorical imperative. It comes to mind because wholeness has acted with a sense of duty. In other words, wholeness accepts the responsibility. Now, The first thing that you saw coming out of the opposition was that wholeness caused the storm. Boy, I tell you, it's laughable. No, nonetheless, let's not be distracted by minutiae. Categorical imperative. He accepts the responsibility. He flies to the G20. He meets with world leaders. And look at the contrast. Just look at the paradox. The comrades are saying, you shouldn't go. You shouldn't go. He prioritizes the needs of the nation. And when you listen to Mr. Holness speaking in Parliament, you get an understanding that he is fully au fait. Au fait means that he understands. He's fully aware of all that is happening on the ground. Don't you agree with me, Caroline?
Absolutely, neighbor.
Yes. That when you listen to him speaking in Parliament, you get a sense that he is very much on top of the situation. He understands it and he has accepted it as a responsibility. And that is what categorical imperative is. It is important that you have the confidence in the leader. At this time, Mr. Golding, on the other hand, urges sobriety. That falls flat because it is out of touch with the reality of the people's need. It is a damning comment. And last night I told you about the media and how poor media in Jamaica is. But they don't pick up these things, they're not, maybe they don't have the capacity. Or maybe they are just, I don't know, they're not helping. It's a damning comment coming out of the opposition at a time like this. Especially with the record that they have. The record of borrowing. The opposition is now urging sobriety. When the PNP is largely responsible for the ills of the society because of how the largest transfer of resources from the poor to the rich occurred since slavery occurred under the PNP. Why weren't you sober then? We should ask the question. Why didn't you encourage sobriety in the 90s when we got tax after tax after tax after tax after tax? Wage freezes are, why wasn't sobriety encouraged during that time? It's a tone-deaf response. It's the worst thing that an opposition could have ever done. And I understand that it is causing some consternation within the party itself. And Mr. Golding's stance may prove costly because the international community is watching. And his perceived lack of patriotism and ineffective leadership will likely seal his fate. Remember, the money came from the international community. And when Mr. Golding spoke on Tuesday, he was not only speaking to Jamaicans, he was speaking to the IMF. He was speaking to the World Bank. He was speaking to the Caribbean Development Bank. He was speaking to the multilaterals. And he was telling them that he's not very appreciative of the money that they have loaned to Jamaica to rebuild our country. Now, if that does not concern you, if that is not unpatriotic, then I don't know what is. If that is not unpatriotic, I am sure that the deputy managing director of the IMF is Nigel Clark, you know. The World Bank said that Jamaica's recovery was world leading. They're listening to you, Mr. Golding. You are not only talking to the government benches, but the world was tuned in to our parliament on Tuesday to hear what you were going to say. And man, you let down the country. You let down the country in such a way. You know, power, you see, operates at multiple levels. Many of our listeners tonight need to understand that. You see, power is not everything that to know is to know. And there's a lot you don't know. And there's a lot you know that you don't know that you know. To know is to know. And there's a lot that you won't know. Don't think that the international community is not very much involved with decisions in Jamaica. Matters of national security, you think it's only Jamaica make them? We have partners around the world, and Jamaica have friends in very high places. Power operates at multiple levels. And it appears as if Mr. Golding is failing to recognize this. And therefore, a new opposition leader might be more effective, offering, fresh perspectives, credibility. Stuart Mills speaks of the marketplace of ideas. The marketplace of ideas. And he suggests that a robust opposition is essential for democracy. Perhaps it's time for a change. Because Mr. Golding's consecutive losses and diminishing influence make a leadership change necessary for the PNP's survival. Let's get to the elephant in the room. Because the response of the opposition has raised eyebrows. First, I am doing this because, again, there are questions about his Jamaican identity. Why would he be so unpatriotic? Listen carefully. Existence precedes essence. I don't want to lose you. Existence precedes essence. The fact that Golding had to come to the national debate, pulled out a piece of paper out of his jacket, purportedly his birth certificate, was a telling moment. He should not have to do that. That debate has not gone away. As a matter of fact, the Prime Minister questioned if Mr. Golding was a Jamaican at the same debate, opening the door for Mr. Golding to pull out the piece of paper out of his pocket. The elephant in the room is existence precedes essence. In other words, one's action reveals their true nature. Your action reveals your true nature. Now, this is sobering. This is very sobering. And I think my listeners listening to me there now are as sobered by what I'm trying to teach. Existence precedes essence. At a time of national disaster, the perceived lack of patriotism is fueling speculations again about his nationality. Despite claims of his birth and renunciation of his British citizenship. State of mind. Now, is there a connection to be made that he's perceived? Remember, don't misquote me. Those of you who are running tapes, don't misquote me now. Careful. Perceived, I say. That the perceived lack of patriotism is as a result of his citizenship? Is that so? Well, this controversy taps into Jamaica's complex identity politics. In a concept that is called authenticity is relevant. Why is he proven to be so inauthentic? Why would you not support money for recovery? Why would you not support that? When the IMF is listening, the World Bank is listening, all the multilaterals, and you talk about sobriety, inauthentic. If you are a Jamaican, true Banya, you Banya? No, I'm asking. I'm not asking. If you're Banya, if you are truly a Jamaican, and you're born a Jamaica, and you go down to St. Elizabeth, and you go to Westmoreland, you know who is just sending me? You know who is just sending me requests? Noel Phillips. Why is he sending me a request to join him? No. I don't. I tell you something. This is very interesting. Why are they sending me requests? Why are you
sending a request for you to join, or would you like to join?
No, they want me to join. Why
there is a button that says decline, okay?
Okay. I wonder why they want to disrupt this. No, it's a problem. Is it a problem? Okay, let's see what's happening over here. Anyway, if you are a Jamaican, you're born here, your navel string cut, yes, sir, and you visit the parishes that were devastated, and you see your Jamaican brothers and sisters have your doodoo out a door and are looking up in this night sky with the mosquitoes. You could never not celebrate. Multilateral support to lift your people out of the state that they are in. If you are a Jamaican, people bawl when they go down to the devastated areas. And we are out of many, we are one. But if you're born here, you cannot be unpatriotic at this time. And any politician in Jamaica that is proving unpatriotic to the cause of Jamaica at this time must be called out. And quite frankly, they do not deserve to be in our parliament. This is a moment of crisis. 150,000 people. Is 150,000 people or 150,000 homes? I think it's 150,000 people. That's just the fact. You cannot be inauthentic. You have to be authentic. And the inauthenticity is undermining the claim to Jamaican identity. This claim that you are born here is now being undermined, you know. And I've linked it. I don't know. I don't think that I have to go over it because it's the elephant in the room. Because you cannot be so out of touch if you are one a week. The only other alternative is that you are Tapanaris. And Tapanaris, well, they're in a class by themselves. In the meantime, the government is portraying themselves as true champions of Jamaicans. Golding's position is precarious, therefore. Hannah Ardent warned about the loss of identity. And when you lose your identity as a leader, it is catastrophic. Because if the public perceives him as not genuinely Jamaican, his legitimacy is eroded. And therefore, the PNP may be better with a leader that embodies the nation's values and spirit. Coming right back. Have we met the 3,000 roses? Have you sent a gift to the program? Have you sent a gift to the program? Okay. So before we go to the callers, the response of the opposition to the reconstruction package is what you'd call tone deaf politics. Remember what Dion Jackson Miller said earlier? The PNP not cutting it.
The government
Listen to her again.
being left out of the relief efforts. So why turn down an invitation like this? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Well, yeah, do not make sense. Even if this joint.
Well, yeah, do not make sense. Call for sobriety, no make no sense. Refusing to acknowledge is a form of bad faith. By criticizing the government, they are denying the very circumstances that led to this point. Abstract moralizing, they call it. Abstract moralizing. What is sad is that it's not only the leader that seems out of touch, it's the entire party. Because while the leader spoke, they applaud. One member suggesting that there was nothing to applaud, nothing to celebrate. A stark reminder that the entire party is disconnected from the realities of Jamaica and are only interested in power. It's a profound lack of empathy. Because you see, the multilateral swift response is a testament to the government's prudent management of the economy over the years. It's a vote of confidence, a recognition that Jamaica is worthy. It's a worthy partner. Jamaica is a worthy partner. But you know, action has the capacity to reveal the agent. Action has the capacity to reveal the agent, to disclose the unique identity of the actor. Listen to people when they talk. Look at their actions. Action has the capacity to reveal the agent. I'm wrapping up. The FinSac debacle was a man-made disaster that ravaged the Jamaican economy under the watch of the PNP. Who sent FinSac? Hurricane FinSac. Who sent that one? Who sent Hurricane FinSac? How much money did Jamaica borrow to pay for FinSac? What percentage of the country's GDP it cost? Could it be avoided? Could it have been avoided? And did anyone benefit from that debacle? It is a painful reminder that the PNP will have to face, 40,000 businesses closed. Thousands of Jamaicans, more than 100,000, lost their jobs. And 40% of Jamaica's GDP was lost. A catastrophic failure that the PNP seems eager to forget. Karl Marx speaks of historical repetition, where events repeat themselves but with a different script. Are you a student of history? Historical repetition. For what Jamaica now faces because of a natural disaster it had to deal with because of Hurricane PNP. We must not forget it. And it is my view that any party during their time of government that cost a country 40% of its GDP, that party should never be placed back into government. They're not that set. Because I don't see how such an irresponsible set of people should ever get the reins of the economy to manage again. Now, I'm not saying that people can't change, people can't renew themselves, and organizations cannot do the very same. But it is important to say that, because Melissa has some resemblance of Finsack. And many Jamaicans don't know these things, you know. Because who is telling them? Who is teaching them? And so the attempt, it's 8:30, my God, I'm going on for too long, man. The PNP's attempt to criticize the government decision is a farcical attempt to rewrite history. And I would encourage them instead to reflect on their own failures and lessons they have failed to learn. Because they are scoring no points against this government at this time. None. And what has happened? Rather than fixing their internal mess, they have turned on Mr. Wholeness. And I went through this already, you know, but it warrants some philosophical examination. A young man rising from Spanish Town is now Prime Minister of Jamaica. That is a remarkable achievement, really. And that may be part of the problem. That may be part of the problem. I told you the other night about the mimetic desire. The mimetic desire, where humans are driven by a desire for what others have. And this desire, which fuels rivalry and competition, can also fuel jealousy, bad mind. And therefore, this mimetic desire is probably what the Prime Minister is facing. I shouldn't him. Kind of resentment, envy. Because somehow he is achieving what they could not do. And so the relentless propaganda war, which forced the Prime Minister to go into Westmoreland and declare war against misinformation, is a manifestation of the mimetic desire. Demonizing the Prime Minister and spreading misinformation is only seeking to undermine his authority and legitimacy. And when you do that, you level the playing field and restore a sense of balance in what is called the social hierarchy. That's the only relevance that the PNP have, is to undermine the authority of the Prime Minister and the government. That's the only loophole to any legitimacy in the social hierarchical structure. But this strategy is not merely a cynical exercise in politics. It is also a reflection of a very deep political malaise. The fact that the opposition feels emboldened to launch such a vicious attack on the Prime Minister suggests a crisis in the country. And that crisis, in my view, is a crisis of education. A crisis of education. Because people who are not very educated, can be fooled. And a large percentage, with the greatest of respect, of our people are in that category. It is what it is. It's a great paradox because there's a tension between opposites, which is creating a dynamic, creative way for survival. As we go into the weekend, you have much to think about. And I invite you to dial in to us now and share your thoughts on these or any other of the points that we have raised. Or there may be something else on your mind. I'll be happy to talk to you about that in about 2 minutes. Good night to you, Scratchy. How are you?
Blessed night, neighbor. Blessed night, Caroline and the viewers. Blessed Friday night. Thank God it's Friday, neighbor. Happy weekend to everyone.
Good night, Scratchy.
Okay, great, Scratchy. What's on your mind?
I'm here, neighbor. I was listening to you and just chilling. Talking about Mr. That guy from over there in Jefferson, neighbor. I like how you point out the whole thing with Jefferson, Paint the graphic image, neighbor, let persons understand who were part of our destruction, who helped to damage the country, neighbor, in the 90s. That same Hurricane Finsack that you spoke about. We can't allow those persons, neighbor, to want to come and rule over us now in a time like this. You know, neighbor, worst persons who benefited, neighbor, on the backs of hardworking Jamaicans, neighbor. And to come to think of it, neighbor, Mark Golden, neighbor, you definitely agree, neighbor. I think Mark Golden will stand his recognition sometime next year. This guy is not a leader, neighbor. Mark Golden has never led anything in his life before, neighbor. They would have taught him to be a successful businessman. Mark Golden has never led any of these companies by himself, neighbor. He has never been any share, the main source or the main back behind any of these organizations that he was a part of. He has always been a second or a third. And I think that now being the leader of the opposition, neighbor, that has shown him up so much, neighbor, that this guy is definitely not a leader. He doesn't possess any leadership skills or any leadership qualities, neighbor. Multilateral agencies, neighbor, like World Bank and IMF. Those agencies, neighbor, in that way how they package and the quick time that they package that recovery package for Jamaica, neighbor. You don't go to the parliament, neighbor, of the highest land in our country, neighbor. You spit in the face of these persons like that, neighbor, by saying that, like you're not pleased or this is nothing to celebrate or thing. You don't do that, neighbor. As a responsible leader, you don't do those things. You let these persons feel that, yes, we reach out. It will send a strong message, neighbor, if the opposition leader also reach out, neighbor, send a message to these multilateral agencies who came in our defense and congratulate them instead of bashing and comparing that out of the 6.8 billion or whatever that we got is only 12 million of that is grant. I mean, I think that's okay if 12 million of that is grant, neighbor. We have a damage bill of about $9 billion, neighbor. I didn't expect anyone to give us that money freely in grants. That would be total madness. I don't know where Mark Golden is thinking of that. So again, neighbor, I think it was a slap in these people's face, neighbor, that the opposition leader in the parliament of our land, neighbor, stand up and spit in the face of these multilateral agencies in his response, neighbor. And I am sad as a Jamaican to know that this is the guy who sees himself as an alternative leader for my country, who's sending these type of negativity around the world. I'm not pleased with it, neighbor. As I said, this guy is not a leader, neighbor. He has never led anything before. All the companies that he has been a part of, neighbor, he was never the main person behind those companies. So definitely, neighbor, Mark Golden definitely cannot be lead us to where we want to go, neighbor. And again, neighbor, I think Mark Golden it's some form of karma towards the PNP side, neighbor, because we have seen all this. We saw how this PNP party, neighbor, how they demonize Mr. Siaga, neighbor, how they criticize Mr. Siaga, how they talk all type of things about Mr. Siaga, and it was just disrespectful, neighbor, for the PNP to show up someone like a Mark Jefferson holding now, neighbor, to want to represent majority of us, neighbor. And I think it's just the PNP karma. And they have a long time to go through this karma, neighbor. They have been disingenuous to us for a very long time. These guys, neighbor, they gain their wealth out of the backs of Jamaicans. And I think they're suffering for that right now, neighbor. And they're going to suffer politically for it. And that's what they're under right now. Political sufferation.
I'd like to scratch it off with you a little bit more. Hold on for me, please. Always very nice to hear from Scratchy. Always very intriguing. Always very great to hear how he pushed things off. And I may come with a little bit of whatever I come with, but Scratchy comes and he scratches it off very nice for you. Let's hear from Steve. Good night to you, Steve. Good night to you, Steve. Hi. Good night to you, sir.
Good night to you, sir. How are you?
I'm all right.
I'm good. Good to know you're okay. Well, I'm Steve. I'm calling from Canada. I'm originally, my parents is from Jamaica. I'm from the United States, but I live in Canada. And I am neither JLP or PNP. But
hold on, sir.
Okay.
Hold on. Why do you make that? Why do you think it necessary to say that up front? Why?
What? Whether me and PNP or JLP?
Yes, sir. Because you're a man. You're Steve. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Hold on, sir. Listen, no. I called you Steve. That's your name that comes up in the box.
Yes.
I called you Steve. I didn't call you JLP. JLP or PNP are not names, sir.
No, I know. Yeah. I'm saying I am not a JLP or PNP. I am just a concerned caller. Okay. That's what I'm saying. And I am
asking you, hold on, sir. I am asking you, was it necessary for you to say that? Because I did not introduce you as a PNP or a JLP. I introduced you as Steve, and you are talking to neighbor. My neighbor, my co-host, my co-hosts are Caroline and Scratchy.
Okay.
Talk to us as people. Don't talk about PNP or JLP. That's not necessary.
Okay. Disregard that then. reason why I said that really is because I know, because of my statement that I'm gonna make, they're gonna say, "Oh, this is one of the PNP guy or whatever." So that's why I let it clear that I am not, because the statement that I'm gonna make
What you
is
have
gonna
done,
sound like I'm on one sided or
my
I'm on
brother,
the PNP side or the list.
what you have done,
Mm-hmm.
you have created in the minds of the listeners a bias.
Okay.
You don't do that. Just come up, say what you have to say, and we will determine where we put you. We just say that, sir. Don't make that mistake again. Okay.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. It's okay. Okay. So I listened to your conversation earlier where you saying
Hold on. What conversation?
whatever statement you're making against the People's National Party
That's
that
not a conversation. I wasn't talking to anybody, sir.
whatever you statement was saying bashing the Mark Golding that he need to
No,
retire.
sir, I was not bashing anybody. No, I wasn't bashing anyone.
So why do you say Mark Golding should retire? Or
No, I
leave the
did not
People's
say.
National?
You see, so, sir, you must listen.
I listen keenly. I'm very dedicated. I
But I
listen to
did
hear
not.
what you said. You
But I
said
did not.
he should. You think he should time for him to leave the People's National Party and let somebody else come in and run this organization. Isn't that
Listen
what
to
you
this.
said?
Listen to this, sir. Listen.
Okay.
They do the checks and balance, but don't bring up the politics now, man.
No,
It's very hard.
I'm going to be blunt, and
we're talking as brother, man. We're not arguing. We're just talking. Let me hear what the gentleman said. I hear
Mr.
what he's saying.
Golding next year is going to find out whether he is facing a potential challenge to stay as opposition leader. Or no.
Okay, sir. So that voice is of Chevon Campbell.
Okay.
He said it. So I just use that to present an argument to my listeners.
Okay.
To get them thinking about it. It's not me, sir.
Oh, so you say I'm misinterpreting then?
Yes, sir. I'm using what is called a rhetorical device.
Okay.
Called parousia. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay. Well, then you have to be careful. I'm not the one saying it, sir. What I'm doing is using what is called a rhetorical device.
Okay, I hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So I heard another thing this morning. Do you see that guy named Marvin?
No, sir. I don't know who you're talking
about. You don't know this guy that put the vlogger called Marvin in Jamaica? The one to talk about the war against the Prime Minister. Have you seen that one?
No, sir.
No, not at all.
Not at all. You see, my brother, I have to be careful what I engage with.
Oh, okay.
And, what is Steve's point, neighbor?
Wait, Scratchy. You see, sir, once you hear something, your brain don't forget it, you know. You know that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Your brain is like a computer, so it stores information.
Okay.
I have to be careful of what I store in my brain because I don't want to be confused. So I don't listen to a lot of that. No, I don't.
Okay. The gentleman just answered you a while ago. He saw it. Let him tell you what it say.
He said, "What is your point?"
I am telling you what's going to happen. What's going to happen in Jamaica? That guy saw it all. What's going to happen in Jamaica if the government move those people from out of the school, the children from out of this, the people them from the hurricane that gets placed in the school. If the government move them to get them into school, you didn't see what he says it's gonna be? It's gonna be a revolution in Jamaica, and he's serious.
Stop there, sir. Please stop.
Did you see that?
No, please stop. You may have an aspiration, but that's all it is, sir. And I would encourage you to be careful of. You're in Canada. You're in Canada, sir.
Yes.
You have plans to come back to Jamaica?
I come to Jamaica anytime, man. I have a dual citizenship.
Yes, sir. The Jamaican state is in the best shape it has ever been. The Jamaican government is the strongest it has ever been. The Jamaican economy is robust. The government has secured sufficient finances to build back the country.
Oh no, that's not true.
Listen now, sir.
Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead.
You see, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, you know. It's the same thing I was talking about earlier, you know, sir. You must be patriotic. You must be patriotic, sir. There are people in Jamaica that are in need of help.
Sure.
The government don't have the money. It is seeking the help. It not get all right yet, but it gets some.
Yeah, I know.
So don't say that. Don't say. They at least are trying to find the money to help the people. Acknowledge that.
Okay. Listen, before this hurricane, okay, before you guys had this hurricane in Jamaica, we have an a platform here in Canada we call World Class Jamaica. I came to Jamaica 2015, and I went to a school in Black River, me and my brothers, and we give out hundreds of thousands of dollars to family there in school, supporting
I
school.
don't know that to be true, sir.
We have an organization, we have this thing here in Canada where we send an ambulance to Jamaica. Okay, listen to this.
So what
We
he's saying,
send
we
an
still
ambulance to
understand what this guy
Jamaica.
is saying here, but what is this guy saying? What
We
he's saying?
send an ambulance to Jamaica. I saw the lady from Spanish Town, whatever, her Bob's Grange, whatever. I saw her at a funeral here
Mute this caller. No, you can't come up here, come call.
This guy's all over the place, neighbor. I'm all over the place. All over the place, neighbor. 1 minute he's saying that he's sanctioned what Marvin said, no, him gone for ambulance and school at Black River. What's the point here? What are you really saying?
I am trying to tell you what's going on with the Jamaica Labour Party and the stuff that they're doing.
You can't live a Canada for
Listen,
here, sir. Listen,
this. Did you see on the news where they said Jamaican Prime Minister interfering with St. Lucian
sir, stop
election?
lying,
Do you
man.
see that?
Sir, big man. Listen, can you get listen on? Nobody never said Jamaica Prime Minister. Sir, listen to me.
Jamaica Prime Minister
Big
or
man,
Jamaica
big
government.
man, listen up, please. Listen up.
Okay.
Listen up. First thing, sir, no one in the paper never said a Jamaica Prime Minister intervening in a no election. That's a lie you tell.
You don't live in our foreign country. You live in Jamaica. You barely get news in Jamaica. So what are you talking about?
You don't know where me live, so
here in
shut up.
Jamaica?
That's the first thing. You don't know where me live, so shut up.
You
don't know where I
want to
live.
get your news. Jamaican have no intelligence about nothing that going on across the world. So what are you talking about?
You know, so we're not going to deal with this guy here now. Sir, listen me, sir. It said the JLP, the newspaper said the JLP.
Who is the JLP government?
The JLP, who's the JLP government?
Yeah, who run the JLP
government is made up of a lot of persons. You talk about the Prime Minister.
Who run the Jamaica Labour Party?
Big man, you never see when Mr. Gonzalez come here, come campaign with PNP. You never did see that?
Okay,
get your
point. Tell me your point. What point are you saying with the election? Tell me what you're saying.
My point that I'm saying is it is customary, the big man, for Caribbean leaders to go and support other leaders around the world in a campaigning, brother. It is very normal and customary. It is not strange or weird. That is my point to you, sir.
And my point is, why would you go interfere with people's election and we have a hurricane in Jamaica with people suffering?
What you call interfere? What you call interfere, sir?
Interfering. You know what interfere is, brother? You know what it is.
Sir, Jamaicans are going to interfere with no election. If I support a party in the next country and the Labour Party, support can come in any different way, you know. Support can come. Support though might come in person. Support might come in time you do a document and send a document to them or something. Big man, listen me, sir. You live in Canada and you're going to tell me some live in Jamaica. News. Stop come on the platform and do these things. If I listen, man, listen,
the
man.
News that we get here.
One month. Listen, man.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen. Come up here and spew. Big man, listen to my good, sir. Come on the platform. The first thing you say is, I'm not a PNP, I'm not a JLP. Just listen, don't talk, please. You know, just listen. You say you're not a PNP, you're not a JLP. That's the first thing you say, you know. And you see from you say that, from right there, so I know say you something right today is a comrade. Now listen to the next
See
thing
it?
now. You come
see-
and
you
bash
see
and
me
tell
a
about
PNP
Marvin's a
already.
revolution that go on in Jamaica
Uh-huh.
and revolution that go on in Canada. Now I ask you a question. What is going on in Canada? What is going on in Canada? Are things perfect in Canada?
Oh,
Did
it's just
Canada
a
get a
better
disaster?
life.
Why so many persons live in a tent in Toronto, Canada? We don't talk about those things. I come and talk about
Man,
Jamaica
man,
revolution.
man, let me tell you something.
Look how much things
Jamaica
are going
can
on in Canada. You're
never,
going to Canada is all perfect, sir.
Jamaica cannot touch nowhere close to Canada, bro. Please disregard what you're saying, okay? Please
Moderator,
disregard
this
that.
guy time is up here. I'm reading, I'm going to waste my Friday upon this guy. We
No,
want to
you
talk
shouldn't,
about
because
goodies
you
of the
all
government.
dumb in Jamaica. That's why I want to suffer in you piece of shit. Shut your fuck up.
And you're in Canada as well, so I can tell you that Canada is not in the best position right now. I can tell you that Canada is not in its best position right now. I'm not going to say that Jamaica is better than Canada or anything like that on a GDP rate. But Canada is not in its best position right now. Canada didn't face no disaster. And before the winter started, then they went downtown Canada, downtown Toronto. You see the homeless people are living in a tent, asleep in a park. Come on, big man, and stop come going like say. A Jamaica alone, I go through a disaster, we go through in a big man. Canada not go through a disaster. So stop your foolishness. And come and tell you, didn't even know which part I come from. You tell me about this stupid guy.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, Scotchy. Oh boy.
Come through, Mr. Major.
Well,
I live in Canada, you come tell me about me
you
live in
know,
Canada, I live in Jamaica. Canada, I live in Canada is not, it's in its best place right now.
this is a call, you know, the house slave syndromes. Steve is nothing but a house slave. You get a chance to go to the first world, and all you achieve is to come on social media to criticize your country and making comparison. Shame on you. Shame on you.
You know what they want to tell him, John Major? You know what they want to tell him, John Major? The people pack them container for send hurricane relief come to Jamaica and the same Canadian them up here then thief it.
Yeah.
$40 million out of goods. They get thief from the storage facility.
I saw it.
So don't come go on like Jamaica alone a bad place or Jamaica this or Jamaica that.
Mm-hmm. These people are something else, man. You know.
You know, surprise me, John Major.
The only interest these people have, you know, are those PNP they want in a power, you know. That's all. That's the only interest they have. The only interest.
Come and talk about Jamaica like say. Like say Jamaica the worst.
We go through the type of hurricane what we got through. And what you expect? Think it's gonna be okay? People gonna have challenges. People is gonna have challenges. You think the government can spend $1 without checks and balance? Eh? You think the government can use any excuse and say, because of the nature of the hurricane and the nature of the emergency, we did not follow protocol, we did not follow the procurement guideline to do this and to do that. And the very same PNP, only where they are Canada and America elsewhere, our call out corruption and government resign. Oh boy, it's so sad.
So sad. And I'm going to talk about we in Jamaica not getting any news. What do you mean we in Jamaica not getting any news? Where did this guy come from?
Like Jamaica's, me not understand. Me not understand this.
Where did this guy come from? So we in Jamaica not getting any news.
Eh? Me not understand this, brother here. Every crevice and corner in Jamaica people have internet. And if you have internet, you're privileged to get news from the four corners of the world.
This guy crazy, man. Being in Jamaica and get the news. I start attack me and tell me say me not live overseas at Jamaica me live. Start attack me.
House slave, man. Frightened house slave. Bossy house slave.
John Major, if I hear them come on the platform, John Major, and I hear them say, I am not no PNP or JLP. Right away, my brain just tell me, he's a comrade this, man. He's a comrade this. A PNP alone come talk, say, I'm not a JLP or PNP. And as you come, you defend PNP. Come on, man. Big up Mr. Garf, man, in the building. Long time I don't see you, sir.
You know, we don't want to ask
Good evening, good evening.
As Garfman, come on, we don't want to ask Garfman because when the hurricane was threatening to hit Jamaica, Garfman said he must solicit, he was in dialogue with the embassy to get aid and funding. So we want to know what the aid and the funding we get from the embassy there.
This is again, sir. This is again, as I will categorically state, sir. I strongly suggest, and I mean, I didn't even mention this because I mean, how can I? What embassy would I solicited aid from? That's the first question.
That like you, the company neighbor live and said that.
Neighbor,
remember?
can you recall that, neighbor? Neighbor, can you recall that?
Yes, Garfman.
John, I'm sorry.
Garfman?
Sorry to interrupt, but unfortunately, it wasn't him. It was Voice of the Nation. That's a mistake. It wasn't.
Yeah, Garfman, I make false promise. Garfman, I make false promise.
Oh, no. So, no. But when I call, when I heard the gentleman earlier, yeah, and I will tell people this, and I will use the word North America because Canada is to the north of the United States.
It is Voice of the Nation.
Well, you heard the young lady corrected that, sir. So that wasn't me, sir.
It wasn't him.
That wasn't me, sir. All right, but what I said, I heard the gentleman from. Hello? Yeah, I heard the gentleman a while ago from Canada.
But Garfman, we are living in North America, and Garfman.
Make him go on, John. Make him go through.
Allow me to speak, man, please. That's why I didn't single out America. I didn't single out Canada. I said North America, the continent, right? And I said Canada is north of America, correct? Is north of the United States. Okay, so what I'm saying to you, a lot of us who come to this country are North America. We tend to go into urban cities. We go into the Florida, the South Florida, the New York, the Philadelphia, the Mississauga, the Toronto, and so forth. You go into urban cities because that is what we are accustomed to from coming from Jamaica, coming from the Caribbean. Although we may come from Montego Bay or Timbuktu or Bible Portland, we tend to go to urban places because that is where we can find work. That is where we can find better living to kickstart our life in the diaspora. But what I heard the gentleman make a statement that Jamaicans are behind time because they don't have the news. And I heard the great Scratchy tell him that everybody in Jamaica get the news of every crevice and corner because of the internet. And Wi-Fi is actually posted around Jamaica. People can log on anywhere they are. But I heard Scratchy talk about homelessness in Toronto. I mean, I have seen it there rampant. But what I want to say this, and you talk about people suffering in Jamaica and people living substandard life in Jamaica. In this very country named the United States today, in rural states, you have people still using pit latrine as their number one source of disposing of their waste of their body. They're living travel trailers, and a travel trailer don't have an adequate bathroom to dispose of. And when you live out in camps, in forests, right here in Florida, a place called Belglade, where sugar workers from the Caribbean will come and cut canes back in the days. They don't do so much now because it's more gone to an automated machinery. People live there like in dump, in slum. And these are typical Americans. And when you go there and you have a conversation with these people, you ask yourself and you make a comparison to Jamaica, to where we are coming from, to where we are at today. Again, I am not saying that people in Jamaica is not hurting. Of course, people are hurting. But if you go into rural America, I can't talk much for Canada in the rural places, but I travel this country basically to do some work in rural America. We're talking about Louisiana. We're talking about hurricane-prone area. We're talking about the Gulf Coast of the United States, the southern coast of Texas. And when you see how people live, you will never imagine. So I want people to keep that in mind and don't just think of the New York City and the major cities, the urban cities where the lights are bright, like in Toronto at night. But outside of that, so I will say this to say that Jamaica is not as bad in comparison to what some people may want to say. And I don't think, and again, I am not a PNP nor a JLP, but I guess this won't land here. I will always be a PNP in the site. But I'm just saying, I am just saying, and the truth of the matter, and I was going to
unmute it, neighbor, unmute.
I'm Garthman, how are you doing?
Not looking some prosperity, you know?
Yeah, let's move on. Listen, Garthman, something happened in Parliament. I'd love to hear your view on it. You know, Garthman, that Jamaica has gone through over the last month or so a very devastating hurricane. Eh?
Correct.
Have you made any contributions to the website, the government website? Have you donated?
I'm going to be 100%. I have not made any contribution to the government website, but I have done things in different ways of shape and form to different place, doing things and personal things because of family members and all of that. But I am not going to sit here and tell you, yes, neighbor, I donated to the government website. I never did. No.
Are you not impressed, Garthman, that the government within 35 days have been able to get the support of the multilaterals and have $6.7 billion available to them? Is that a good thing?
Well, it's a good move. It's a good look. The government of Jamaica went out and seek the funding, and the multilateral responded in a positive manner. But it's a positive man.
They felt sorry for Jamaica and gave us this money. You know.
All right, this is where I'm going to break rank with you now. I will give you a classic example. When the earthquake hit 2010. Remember the Clinton Foundation moving and amassed over $60 billion. So what the point I'm making is this. The truth is this. I wouldn't say they felt sorry, but I believe in a disaster, people will always forthcoming to give. You understand? Initially, and the onset of it, people will give. But yes, one of the driving force that the multilaterals were easily to give you, to extend credit to you because you have good credit. If you have bad credit, the multilateral not going to extend no credit to you.
Jamaica's financial position was considered in acquiring this loan?
Well, neighbor, come on, man. I try to pull. Neighbor, the truth of the matter is this. Put it this way, neighbor. If your credit score is low, the bank is not going to give you a car to buy that Honda Civic of yours. You have to be credit worthy.
I don't drive a Honda Civic, you know.
Well, if you're not credit worthy, yes, you won't get the loan.
So then you are agreeing with me that I'm not sorry for them, sorry for Jamaica. Oh, these are suffering people.
There is no sorry business. It's because you have credit worthiness. Simple as that.
All right. No. You think then that the leader of the opposition's response in Parliament on Tuesday was appropriate?
Well, the leader of the opposition, okay, first and foremost, and I'm glad you mentioned the leader of the opposition, because a lot of people do not differentiate the politics from the government, and I know a lot of people take me to task. what the leader of the opposition was basically saying, in my opinion, is that the prime minister, he has offered to help. He has offered to be, he wants to be on a regulatory board. He wants to be in the midst.
I'm speaking about the money.
Oh, the money. What did he talk about? The money in reference?
He said it is nothing for the country to celebrate. We must be.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right. So with that money now, so basically what the leader of the opposition was saying that this money would have come to Jamaica. But I'm glad you mentioned the money, that $6.7 billion. Jamaicans have to pay that back.
Yes. No, we agree. We accept.
And what I believe the leader...
What were the alternatives?
Right. Well, the alternative, there is no other alternative more than to borrow the money. But one of the bigger points that we are missing is that it's not 6 point in my belief, what I read and I get to understand from reading is that the $6.7 billion is not an immediate drawdown. And the reason why I said this, if we were to go back to that committee that chaired by Peter Bunting, the permanent secretary did outline that they're over. It's not it was a bit misleading, and that's not my word. That's what the permanent secretary said. So don't take me to task. That is not the entire $6.7 billion the government was able to draw down. Part of that money was already allocated, and in the total is to make it up to the 6.7 billion. So that is what the opposition.
Whatever the semantics.
Correct. But the opposition, and I hear where you're going. The opposition should have been more mindful. I would say that. He should have been more mindful, because at this very moment in time, we need to separate the politics from the governance. And if you heard the prime minister, that if you're a part of the government, and this is where a lot of people miss the point, that believing the opposition is not a part of the government, they are wrong, because once they are sitting in God knows, they are a part of the government. They are the one who made the laws that pass the laws that govern the country. And that is why the opposition leader has his own office. And that is why the PNP have their own office. And whenever you are in opposition, you are not a PNP or you are a government. You are not a JLP. You are about the government of Jamaica for the people.
I got you. Now, the opposition leader in that same statement, Garthman, said he represents 400,000 Jamaicans. Is that true?
Well, he represents 400,000 Jamaicans. Yeah. No, the opposition 400,000 and had voted for the opposition. And yes, he may have gathered those votes, but we only have one government at a time. Why you laugh, man?
Because it is incredulous, sir.
You want the truth? I want me lie to you, neighbor.
No. I'm just. You are the first comrade that I've heard come out to say that the opposition does not represent. Well, anyway, how do you think, Garthman, the opposition's general response to the disaster recovery have been? How do you see their response generally? Many people are saying that it is very unpatriotic how they have acted, and that
and that is what I'm saying. It is split down party lines. The PNP will say the opposition is doing well, and the Jamaica Labour Party supporters will say the opposition is not doing well, and we are not being honest. I strongly believe that all the members of parliament, whether they are JLP or PNP or the opposition, I do believe that these people are working hard. They have their head down. And it's one of the problems that we are facing is that, and it is a known fact, majority of the area that is much devastated, maybe heavily opposition control, the PNP control as a PNP party. So there is misinformation going on out there. And again, and one of the biggest problem of misinformation, as I tell it, everything is transactional. And I will never leave the earth not knowing, not believing that. I believe in that, and that's a fact. You have to realize is that the opposition people, not necessarily I will give you a typical scenario. Years ago, I used to drive a taxi cab, and the dispatcher was a black guy, and of course, it was a lot of us, a few Jamaicans. Majority of the drivers were Asians, and the dispatcher was a black American guy, and he was from the military, so he seems to have a strong-handed with his dispatching approach. And I heard the guy that owns the company, a white man, says that the dispatcher can keep these guys in check. And the point of the matter is this: what we find between the opposition and the government, we have people out there, henchmen, operatives of both political party, just believe in pushing an agenda because that agenda can equal a dollar sign. And that is what the government is facing, and that is what the opposition is facing, is that we need to allow the people who are the professionals, who have the experience, who know where to go to lead. But that is not what we do. We crowd the space, and when we crowd the space, we create a chaotic behavior, and out of the chaoticness, that is what we get: bad information, and then we lie, start dispute, and all that.
In other words, Garthman, to put $50 million in the hand of an MP would not be a good decision.
I don't think, no, I wouldn't agree with that, because first and foremost, yes, he can put the money into the MP, but the MP need to bring to the table his balance sheet to show how these $50 million will be spent on all 9 yards.
What about, I think you have some information about disaster.
No, but I know I don't have no information about disaster, please.
No experience? No experience?
Yeah, but I wish not to get into that.
Not a problem. But the disaster strikes and you give the MP $50 million. Seems a recipe for disaster there, you know.
It is a recipe for disaster. And the fact of the matter is that the truth is this: not even the government itself should have members of parliament leading the charge on disaster. You should leave it in the office of the ADPEM, and have those people who are professionals, who understand logistics, and who can, don't put the government MPs in charge of anything. That's not their duty. It's going to be mirrored. It's going to be accused. They are going to this, they are going to that. That is what they don't do. Like in the US, and you've pushed me into a corner. So, for example, there's a hurricane in the southern belt and FEMA. You don't see that the state representative or the US congressman leading any charge. That is run by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And then that agency hires people who can do the job. So that is one of the biggest things the government needs to step away from. Just
well, that's what they're doing, Garthman, in terms of NARA.
Correct, yes.
Yes.
But what I'm saying, government agencies should not be commenting on it. Government agencies shouldn't be, you should not be an oversight body. You shouldn't be the person out there front and center, because that's where we get into trouble. And that's why people start to accuse you, and you're making comments and questions, and people going to say, well, you're not giving the answer, but I asked you this last week, and you don't come back with the answer today. Leave that to the people them who you hire to do the job.
Okay, so at a point, Garthman, when the country ought to be united in the recovery, we seem to be as divided as ever, and many people are suggesting that that the opposition is the cause of this. That Golding have not, joined hands with the Prime Minister in helping to unify the country towards helping the people. Is that fair comment?
Again, that's someone's opinion. I strongly believe Mark Golding and the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, have off-camera conversation.
No, sir. Mr. Golding said
no. I want no, neighbor. This is my opinion. I do believe.
But are you not saying that Mr. Golding is lying, sir?
Well, I do believe, sir. Both gentlemen have.
You do believe he's lying? That's what you're saying?
Well, I would say both men are lying. Oh, well, I didn't hear the Prime Minister accuse him of anything, so if not speaking to him, because the Prime Minister did say he spoke to him. I believe that Mr. Golding do have conversation with the Prime Minister.
No, sir. Mr. Golding said he has not heard from the Prime Minister in over 10 days.
No, sir. I think that's hard to believe, my brother. I mean, remember, neighbor, and that is what I'm trying to tell people. We are thinking about GLP and PNP. We're not thinking government. And the Prime Minister and the opposition leader see each other in Parliament on Tuesdays. And I am pretty sure there are liaison between the office of the Prime Minister and the opposition leader's office. There have to be some form of communication cable or whatever the case is.
I want to play. I want to play the.
We heard it will be broad-based, but there is no inclusivity in the dialogue around how it is to be constituted. And I can hear from the barbs that are flowing from the other side that the likelihood is that we will not be included in it. That is anticipating would have been met this year before.
Sorry, I'm trying to cue it up.
That the leader of the opposition is given 5 minutes more.
Okay, I can't find it, but he did say in Parliament on Tuesday that he hasn't heard from the Prime Minister. I wanted to play him, but nonetheless, let's. He did say that at press conference that he hasn't heard from Holness in 10 days' time. You are saying that is impossible.
I do believe that's impossible, sir.
Okay.
I mean, that's my opinion. I don't work in OPM or the opposition office. I'm not a fly on the wall like you, neighbor, sir.
You calling me a fly, sir? You calling me a fly?
No, it's a metaphor, sir.
Yeah, but we're seeing a different Garth, man, you know. We're seeing a different Garth.
No, man. No. It's not about different. It's not about different.
No, man, I appreciate this Garth, man, that you're seeing right now, Garth, man. This wasn't the Garth, man, prior to September 3rd.
No,
man.
man.
I appreciate this Garth.
No, man. Keep one thing in mind. Life is transactional, man. You think it's Joe?
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, man. But something I want to do, and I want to scratch it. Neighbor, what about the bill, the private motion that the great Everald Warmington tabled in the House last Parliament, that once you are 18 years old, you should be able to sit in the House, in Garden House, and then whether or not you're a U.S. citizen or not, once you're born in Jamaica, you may acquire citizenship elsewhere. You are now eligible to be a member of Parliament. Or you guys don't debate that and talk about that.
I think government it's on the agenda of the Parliament, and I think the whole part about the U.S. citizen thing, I think a lot have to do with the whole constitutional change that we are trying to approach right now. So I think it's at a delicate stage right now, same way government. Yeah, we don't know. It's a private motion. We don't know the extent of the motion. We don't know what the motion entails and stuff like that, because it is on the agenda of the Parliament.
Correct.
We know that we have Hurricane Melissa right now, so that what is going on right now will be about Hurricane Melissa. But I expect that it will come up on the agenda sometime.
Okay, I agree. But why would Everald Warmington put that table forward today, though? Table that bill forward at this time that we are in,
I mean, every single member of Parliament has that option.
I'm aware of that, but I thought you'd have deal with what is on the thing, expediency for the hurricane. You would have focused the energy there. I mean, is it that some U.S. citizen want to get into the Parliament? And I don't know. As I say, I don't know. We don't get the extent of it yet, but it's something, definitely something for discussion we're going forward, government. But also, Scratchy, with what Mr. Warmington is now thinking of at his table, also there is a senator from the state of Ohio, a Colombian-born U.S. senator. I think it's Bernie something. I don't remember his last name. He has also made a motion in Congress that people who are U.S. citizens like neighbor should not be allowed to maintain a Jamaican citizenship. I'm kidding. I don't know if neighbor is a U.S. citizen. I'm just using an example. Let us not be clear, right? So, and then if a U.S. citizen go back to his or her country to cast a vote, they can be expelled if they are naturalized. So food to come. So please advise Mr. Warmington Scratcher. I know you normally sit with the Speaker of the House before Parliament, and tell her that Mr. Warmington may not want to push to table that particular bill. It won't be great after Uncle Sam
discussion.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
for discussion, Gaffman.
But Anglia business, man, I look some prosperity,
Garfman.
Yes, madam.
Excuse me, Garfman. Good evening.
Good evening, my good lady.
Okay, I think I overheard you just said that life is transactional. Is that what you just said?
I stand on like that, like Jesus on the cross.
Oh, okay, great. Well, on that note, I'm going to ask you to sponsor tonight's program. You have the Zelle information already, so I will just look out.
As I said before, that someone like yourself within the capacity that you sit, the moon is bright.
Hey, Garfman is a politician. Garfman is a politician here. Garfman is a politician.
Huh?
Sir, I know that you have the information,
Yeah,
so
man,
I would appreciate your contribution.
Not a problem. I will
okay?
angle your bangle. Not a problem.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
That's
Okay.
Mr. Garfman, man. Respect, sir.
All right, manners. Good.
Yeah, man. Come back again.
26 minutes after 9 o'clock. Great. Blueberry, how are you tonight? Karine Ellis, 81. Good night to you. Paka General and Bramwell. Betsy Powell, you are there with us. Great to have you. Hello, Blueberry. You found your thrill on Blueberry Hill. Hey, Miss Justice, Del, how you doing? Del, you've cast a spell on this program, Tiffy, 79, Shady. Time, God bless. Hello to you. Blessings. Hi. Jonoy Veteran, Sandra Green T, Beverly Henry and Queen, one Queen. All right. Soldier Boy, how you doing? Carol Roach. Blaze Family, number 1. All right. Budget 201, great night. Jamaican Princess, 09. You're fine? Great. Shine girl, shine, because the moon bright. Charnette Duncan, Daisy and Sunshine, great night to you. All right, Del, big up Blaze Family and 1. Reality Facts, hi, how you doing? Great Jamaican Princess. You need a king there, girl? All right, let's go back to the panel online and let's start with Scratchy. So, Scratchy?
Yes, neighbor.
Scratchy, the elephant in the room as coming out of Nationwide is that Colin may face a challenge of his leadership next year. How likely you think this is, Scratchy?
I mean, I am expecting, neighbor, that what I personally know and see, neighbor, going on is that if you look at the PNP, neighbor, I know the PNP, the People's National Party, has operated as a political organization, neighbor. The PNP, neighbor, is an organization, neighbor, from Michael Manley. Even Michael Manley was the prime minister, neighbor. Despite there having someone that they put up as a head, neighbor, it is an organization, neighbor, but a lot of the power, the strength, or whatever the party, the dictate, whatever party message the party is sending, neighbor, is come from someone behind the scene or a group from behind the scene. Take Michael Manley in point as a PNP, neighbor. When Michael Manley was the prime minister, a lot of the decisions that were being made at the time, neighbor, weren't being made by Michael Manley, neighbor. They were rather strong men who were in that party, neighbor, who Michael man, they have to listen to those persons. When you look at a PJ Patterson, I believe PJ Patterson to a certain extent, but PJ Patterson, neighbor, because of the type of statesman that he was, PJ Patterson managed to garner some from a leadership on his own. When you look at Portia Simpson Miller, neighbor, you could also saw that Portia Simpson Miller was someone who was being led. So when you look at Mark Jefferson Golding now, neighbor, Mark Jefferson Golding only become the leader of the People's National Party because of the position that the People's National Party was in, neighbor, and because of his financial standing. It wasn't because of his leadership skills, nor his leadership qualities. It was because of his wallet, neighbor, his bank account, his financial stability. So when I give a leader, neighbor, of a political organization, neighbor, that runs themselves and the organization that love the poor, they sympathize with the poor, they care for the poor. When you put a leader, neighbor, to run an organization like that, neighbor, where that leader, the disparity of wealth between the leader and the common persons who support the organization, neighbor, it is far off. The leader cannot connect with them, neighbor. He cannot connect with them because of his social status and the support of social status. So when I look at Mark Golding, neighbor, I see someone who was forced in a job, neighbor. Someone who was forced in a job, neighbor. Someone who would take up a job like he take one for someone. I don't see this guy continuing this job, neighbor. I don't think this guy wants this job, neighbor. When you look at this guy as well, neighbor, you can see that Mark Golding is someone who, like, he looks like someone who has something to hide, someone who has a lot of skeletons in his bone, neighbor. When you talk about his, where this guy was born, he's hide up to now there's anything concrete or strong where we can say yes, he's a Jamaican. When we talk about, neighbor, his citizenship, whether he renounced his citizenship or not, that is something again that we are not sure of, neighbor. So definitely, neighbor, I don't see this guy as a leader, neighbor, and I definitely don't see this guy leading the People's National Party going forward. But the only thing that
you're not sure that his citizenship is renounced?
No, neighbor, I am not 100% sure if Mark Golding's citizenship has renounced, neighbor. I believe the same way like how you bring an outdated birth paper.
He came to the debate and pulled out his birth certificate out of his hand, his pocket, to say that he was.
Yes, neighbor, but despite having that birth certificate, neighbor, he had British citizenship, and to be fair, neighbor, I mean, it was in the news that this guy got a Jamaican passport around 2011, and if my memory serves me right, neighbor, in the year 2011, the birth paper that Mark Jefferson Golding showed, neighbor, that birth paper is no longer recognized and cannot be used to garner a passport in Jamaica. So there's a lot of questions, neighbor. There's more questions and answers. What Mr. Golding is this guy being genuine to us, neighbor? Is this guy being honest to us? I personally don't, neighbor. I don't think he's being honest to us. And as I said again, neighbor, I think he has a lot of skeletons, certain other personal aspect of his personal life where I won't go into. And I think he's desperately trying to hide these things from the media, neighbor. And for those reasons, and for his lack of that being a candidate who can win, neighbor, I think he will step aside before even the party try to rebel against him, neighbor. I think the only reason why he's there right now, neighbor, because we understand and we know how difficult it is, neighbor, for opposition parties to garner funding. His business partner, neighbor, and his close associate. We heard that guy in a previous pronouncement said that.
My mind is going back. You are saying to me that what Golding showed at the debate, that piece of paper cannot get you a passport?
No, neighbor, that birth paper is outdated, neighbor. You need a new birth paper to get a passport, neighbor, and it was way before 2011.
You don't think that his position and wealth could probably do things a little different for him than the other people? He's a top of
yeah, I mean, you raise a good point. I would agree that maybe his position could definitely do that. But me, neighbor, I am an ordinary citizen of Jamaica, neighbor, and I made the treasurer child made a step to Ghana and get my new birth paper, neighbor. So I don't see why an upstanding citizen like a Mark Jefferson Golding wouldn't follow suit, neighbor, and try to get the new and updated birth certificate. I just can't see that. I just don't understand that why, neighbor. So that is my reason for saying that. But again, neighbor, I think the reason why he's still there, neighbor, we know that when you're in opposition, it is difficult for you to garner funding. We heard his henchman or his best friend, his business partner said that if it wasn't for him, the light up at headquarters would have chopped off long time. It wasn't for his checkbook. So you find that, neighbor, these guys, neighbor, hold the People's National Party hostage, neighbor, because of their financial stability and their financial strength. So these guys are not strong in the PNP because of their quality as leaders or what they can bring. One lost in a leadership race and one lost a local election and a general election. So these two guys, neighbors who benefit of the box of Jamaica, and they are both sore losers. And I think the People's National Party will definitely get rid of them, neighbor, and they're taking their time to find out that the position that the People's National Party is in right now, neighbor, is as a result of these two guys. And they will definitely get rid of them.
And then replace them with whom?
All right, that is where now the issue is, neighbor. Now, over the People's National Party, neighbor, the talent is not as deep and far and wide as the Jamaica Labour Party benches. When you look at the People's National Party, the first person who might come to your mind for leadership is one Damien Crawford. But when you look at
Damien Warra?
Damien Crawford, Mr. Crawford will be the first person, a lot of persons say, yes, he might be the one going up for the leadership. But when you look at Mr. Crawford, neighbor, Mr. Crawford has damaged himself, has damaged his character in some way, shape, or form. But the damage of Mr. Crawford's character might be on a more national level. I think he's well loved and supported amongst PNP supporters, neighbor. So I think he can definitely rise to the top. But neighbor, I'm not sure of his financial capability, neighbor, to keep this PNP organization financially balanced while they're still in opposition. So that might be a slight hindrance towards Mr. Crawford gaining that thing. I see someone in the private, neighbor. I see someone, a lot of person might say, Philip Palwell. I don't think Philip Palwell can definitely lead the People's National Party. Philip Palwell, neighbor, I don't know if this guy was the one who invented Scandal Bag, but this is a guy that Scandal follows him, neighbor. Youthful exuberance was a word used by a former prime minister towards him. I don't think that can be used again, neighbor. This one is a grown, I don't know. No more youthful exuberance. And yes, definitely, neighbor, Mr. Peter Philip, Mr. Palwell, someone, neighbor, who kind of put Jamaica in a spot that we are in, neighbor. And I would advise the People's National Party to remove Mr. Palwell to do as a spokesperson and energy, neighbor. Mr. Palwell shouldn't have nothing to do with JPS going forward, neighbor. Same like when the People's National Party won the 2011 election, they removed Omar Davis as the Minister of Finance. I would ask that they remove Mr. Palwell as well. So the person, neighbor, that I see the sneaking person coming up, neighbor, is one Julian Robinson, neighbor. I think a lot of persons are not looking at Mr. Robinson. I see Julian Robinson as the secret weapon coming up in the People's National Party, neighbor. Not someone with a lot of baggage, neighbor. Someone who has high connection with the upper echelon of Jamaicans, neighbor. And I definitely think that might be where the People's National Party leadership just dropped into the hands of Mr. Julian Robinson.
That Julian that we saw at the debate, though, sir, shouting away and well, maybe. Scratchy, the reporter from Nationwide is suggesting that it could come as early as next year. In terms of the raw politics of this, do you think that such a move early would be better for the PNP rather than late? Because if the PNP go late, the government could call a snap, eh?
The earlier the better, neighbor. Any prospective leader who want to turn into some holding, neighbor, would have to be the earlier the better, neighbor. Going into a second year, it will be much better than a third or a fourth year, neighbor, because election can call any time from that. And elections are strategic. So if the government should see our opposition that is in problem and issues, neighbor, the government might rush to an election and they wouldn't want to be caught in that way. But I think the earlier the better, neighbor. I see next year, we saw that they were just coming right out of an election, neighbor. So there wasn't much conference. There wasn't any conference. They were still doing their postmortem as to the reason why it's for lose for their loss at the polls. And then we have the hurricane now, neighbor. But definitely, neighbor, next year when the time is right, neighbor, and their conference is upon them whenever they can call the election. I think, neighbor, that Mr. Golden will be challenged. And if Mr. Golden is not challenged, neighbor, he will voluntarily step aside, neighbor.
Okay. Let's hear from Samuel. He's been waiting for a little time. Samuel, you had a cough there, man. Hi. Hello. Samuel.
The day's fine and sunshine most of the time, and the feeling is laid.
If you're in Jamaica, 876-858-9553.
So low, don't you know?
It's a Friday night and we're asking our callers, our listeners, to chip in and help us to pay our pay for tonight's program. We're seeking sponsorship. At least 10 of you, please chip in and send something to the Zelle account, which is 954-635-87. Listening to us in the diaspora, you know. My friends in the United States, you have been fantastic. You have responded so well for 6 months. You have kept this program going, I can tell you. Great work from you in the diaspora. I wish I could all just give you great hug and tell you how much we appreciate you, really. We keep having to come back to you night after night after night after night. We have to come back to you tonight again. 954-635-8732.
Except for the name, feel the change. Talk about way. Story of the same one.
All right, we're going back to the discussions right now, eh? Going back to the discussions. Great night to you, everybody. Thank you so much, Jamaica Princess. Thank you so much, Garfman. Thank you so much to all of the listeners who are online participating in the program and doing your little bit to keep us going from day to day. Thank you so much. Hello there, Harry. Henriquez, how you doing?
Hey neighbor. Night everybody. You're not doing too bad though.
How are you, Harry?
Not doing too bad in a neighbor.
Yeah, I wanna encourage my listeners to help us out tonight. 954-635-8732. That's the Zelle account. Zelle in the United States, the diaspora. Diaspora, this is your program. Great, thank you. Big up yourselves, everybody. Thank you so much. 954-635-8732. We're still short. Come on, man. We're taking too long on this. Need to get on with the program. Need to get on. 14 to 10. It's a Friday night. We're going on till what? Just after 10 o'clock, Caroline? Let us know. Yes, Caroline?
Well, it depends. Will you be on tomorrow?
You have to tell me because it depends on how the funding goes. Not well, tomorrow night.
I will think about it and speak to you before the show's out, okay?
Okay, all right, great. All right, let's ride and whistle. Listeners, remember 954-635-8732. 954-635-8732. Okay. Okay. Hi, Claudette. You're not back home yet? Come on, somebody. Please surprise us. We need a surprise. We need a surprise gift tonight. There is someone. You've been thinking about helping us out, and we need that tonight. Okay, 954-635-8732. You're on credit, you're broke. Claudette Fox. No, man, don't worry yourself. There are more than 800 people listening to this program now. We can get 10 people sending us $20. Come on. Okay. So Harry,
Oh,
what was your analytical skills here a little bit, Harry? The leadership issue in the PNP. Do you think that they have an issue to be resolved in the first place?
I think they do, neighbor. Whether they want to, whether that is they want to make it public or not. I think there's a lot of whispers in their leadership, right, in their setup as well, because even age-wise, neighbor, we know and they know that Mark Golding can't bring them into the future. The future politics that is coming.
He can't bring them into the future.
No, neighbor, because when you look at it, right, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. What happens if he makes it to 2030, right, in terms of his political career, and he loses because they're on track to lose, with all things considered, then they will now face another issue similar to 2020, because now they'll have to find a new leader. They will have to try and rev up now their machinery. They'll have to go ahead and try reappeal to the political arena, and by then we know the demography is being changed significantly when we look at it. And you just like how we're seeing, for example, the current administration, where the Jamaica Labour Party will have around 10 to 11 persons leaving soon. It's a similar thing for the People's National Party when it comes down to the leadership. So they'll have to find somebody now who can garner that level of strength, that level of appeal overall, and someone who is pretty much untouched, someone who doesn't have a lot of baggages that we can call them out on, someone who have a fresh perspective when we look at it. And so far, neighbor, plus they will need a few persons who may seem eligible. They will need a character change or some character development.
Is there a dark horse somewhere there, Harry? Is there a dark horse that may emerge? Someone that probably no one is mentioning now. Any dark horse there?
Well, to be honest, neighbor, the People's National Party has never, from what I know, once had a dark horse leading them, right? The person who is leading them has always been technically seen. When you look at those who are available and eligible, you can almost normally pick them out to say, okay, this person will either edge it or they'll unanimously get the position. So, for example, 2020 with Mark Golding, he got it really, and this is going to sound harsh to them, but he got it by default, neighbor, because there was no one competent at that time, with all things considered, to lead them into this election, because they also needed an image change. While we know in terms of the scandal around Mark Golding, at the time there was so much internal warfare happening, and potential persons who could have gotten it were also what we call damaged goods, because they had a lot of their character tarnished for one reason or the other. So technically, quite a number of persons had to cool off, for a better term, neighbor, and as such, Mark Golding would have gotten it. Before that, similar thing when it comes down to Peter Phillips, and then of course we know Portia Simpson had the majority because she appealed to the poor, and it was deemed woman time now. So it has always been seen for the People's National Party who would have gotten it, and I don't expect that to change now.
Okay, now based on the party's response to Hurricane Melissa, do you think that the public is judging them negatively as being unpatriotic? How do you think it is playing in the public's eyes?
Well, if we remove those who is appealing or who he represents, if we remove those persons out of the equation, then he would be getting a failing grade from the rest of Jamaica, because it wouldn't have been, a lot of what he has done wouldn't have been patriotic. It wouldn't have shown the humanitarian side of things, especially when it comes on to, for example, the decision that he would have taken for JPS, right? It wasn't one that was looking holistically, and I know persons would have had an eye out to say this doesn't seem like he is for the people. Based on how he speaks in the public, with the statement saying he represents a specific section or a portion of, that doesn't spell a lot of sense, as we want to put it, to the majority. And the majority technically are those who didn't vote, but you still have to govern them, and those are the persons you technically, if you want to tip the next election over, you'd also have to appeal, and not just those who we know are for you. Again, as well, somebody who has backed them in the media have now started questioning them, whether that's a tactic to humanize, let them be a little bit more humane. Dean Jackson Miller has come out and called them out for about a week now. And that, as one of your biggest persons who push in the media and so on, who back you, the public will now start to see that there's a chink in the armor for them. There is a chip on the shoulder that doesn't look well. And for them also failing on delivering on promises such as their alternative plans, failing to also disclose whatever funds they have garnered or collected on the backs of Jamaica for the Melissa issue. But they are also being hypocritical on these matters towards the government. And I think people are looking at that neighbor and they're getting a failing grade as it stands right now.
Bill Clinton was in Jamaica yesterday. You know of the Clinton Foundation. I think they raised over $60 billion for Haiti. And the Bill Clinton Foundation, I understand the government is looking to partner with them to help us in our recovery. How important is that, Harry?
Well, neighbor, it's another when we look in terms of garnering strength. We are also showing bilateral agreements and also a vote of confidence from persons who we would have tapped into initially, because of course we know being Bill Clinton, a former president and so on, neighbor, he would have appealed to a different demography that we as a nation may not have been able to do so. And as such, he tapped into areas that can give us some good funding, all by his association. Of course, it's another spin to it is that we can look to say it is a network, right? And having someone like him and of his caliber, regardless of how you may feel of his affairs in the US, you wouldn't want to not get some of this aid. So I think it's one going forward is a good look, as we'd say in Jamaican terms. And I do hope we can even maintain that relationship as well.
Okay. No, in terms of summing up the activities this week, Harry, a very good week for the government, you would say. 80% of the island back up on the grid. Government's resources for hurricane relief secured. Most of the ministries are on top of things now, and the opposition seems to be on the back foot. A good week for the government, ending with Bill Clinton. Harry?
Definitely, neighbor. It's one in which we're seeing now the government have started playing. If you're a cricket man, neighbor, will start to come off at the back foot. Right? They are now playing some clean strokes and putting some runs on the board. So for the persons who don't understand is that the government would have technically been absorbing and soaking up the pressure coming from Melissa, not necessarily from the opposition, but also they would have been summing up or analyzing what they're up against, and then now having seen what is on offering, they can now be able to, flex their muscle a little, which in essence is showing that, hey, we're not just getting good ratings, but we're seeing things in motion. We're now easing out of relief period and now showing you what the recovery period will look like. So it's definitely a good one, neighbor. I'm happy they're now on the front foot. They're now pushing to go ahead, because really and truly the opposition seems to be running out of steam, right? And while that doesn't look well for democracy, to be honest, if we're being objective here and being unbiased. But it is what we have now. I'd say personally, the opposition need to come better. One of the things I can say with Mark Golding is that he has some good questions in specific areas, but I think those good areas and questions that he would have asked are overshadowed by him trying to overcompensate and getting things technical and technically trying to score political points. All right, because I do hear some good questions, neighbor, as it relates to the 6.7 billion, but I don't think Mark Golding understand that if he lets these questions stand alone, he can come out looking a little better than how he has started, for one, to show that the opposition is probably thinking in the best interest of the country. But when you go ahead, neighbor, and ask good questions and that those questions are tarnished by your agenda and you're politicizing things, that get lost in the back end, neighbor.
The elephant in the room, Harry, is that many people I'm hearing they are seeing Mark Golding's unpatriotic stance as him not genuinely connected to Jamaica, and the whole matter of his birth is now coming back up again. Is it a legitimate concern?
I think it will be as it goes ahead and pick up a little bit more traction, neighbor, because some decisions and stuff he would have said hinged more away from being patriotic, neighbor. And once you aren't seen as patriotic as the opposition leader, with you having that chip on your shoulder of your birthright being questioned, it only gets louder, right? And there's nothing you can technically do about it, because you are now indirectly fueling that agenda. And I don't think he understands, or probably he doesn't even care that much, to be honest. And this is just me speculating on that part, because of his actions. I said actions speak louder than words, neighbor, and his lack of thereof has said enough for a lot of people. And again, for his benefit and for democracy, he just needs to come out, get this thing clean from the air. I think there's no better time than now, right? Because the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to get, for sure. Probably more of a fallout. He may be having to technically destabilizing the PNP's base, neighbor, because we've seen them divided before. And that's not a good look for them. So I think he just needs to come out and clear the air, neighbor. I know it won't look good for the opposition conceding to the current government, but I think I want them to look at it as not just conceding, but putting the people first in this situation.
Is that what that Dion Jackson Miller is suggesting, that the opposition should at this time reverse their stance and say we want to support the government and go on the committee? That's what Dion was actually saying, that the PNP should backtrack.
Well, to be honest, neighbor, with her, she was actually gassing them up to continue doing what they're doing. So I just think she has also realized that they've gone down the wrong track, and they have to now take a step back and try to pivot in pretty much removing the egg off their faces, neighbor, because she has also imploded and firing shots back at them in this case, which is not something we anticipated, but we all know in terms of how the opposition operates and their persons. It will be something they have to, if they want to survive Melissa, or the recovery of Melissa thereof, because as I said, they are running out of steam, neighbor. They are already putting their foots in their mouth. We've seen a few MPs being that happening. I've also seen them taking a step back forcefully after, I would want to say, Andrew Holness landed the blow of saying the ODPEM and I think there's another institution that will publish all the aid and financial assets that would have been provided to all MPs. I saw them backtracking on that in Parliament, which doesn't look well.
Yes. Okay. Well, hold on there a little for me. We have two guests online. I don't want them to keep holding for too long. We can have very long conversations on this program. Authentic? Admiralty bet on a Friday night. Great. Watch us how we do it, eh? Authentic, are you coming in? Great, brother. Hey, hi. Authentic, you there? Hiya. Kaya, hi. Top-notch program on a Friday. Politics Plus with your neighbor Caroline, Scratchy and Harry. Hey. Donald, how you doing, sir? Donald. You know, Donald, you know, Donald. Hello, Donald. Mr. Admiralty bet on a Friday. A little bit of entertainment for you in between the conversations. Can't do it better. Babylon system is a fraud. Me get from me yard, they want come run me out of me yard. Get from me yard, because Babylon system is a fraud. Stone, thank you so much for the money, eh? I tell you something, we need more than that, eh? Well, not from you, but from the other listeners. When me write them, I tell me say me wrong, like they want come mash up my repetition. But all them I do, all them I say, foolish rules and regulation I don't obey. Them call themselves the superior, and them say we are the inferior public yard, because Babylon system is a fraud. Me get from me yard, them want come run me out of me yard. Me get from me yard. 1,000 people listen to this program. Oh, what a program. Well, it's a Friday. Tomorrow is Saturday. Where you? John Major, you're online, sir? Get from the yard, because Babylon system is a fraud. Get from the yard, they want come run me out of me yard. Get from the yard, because Babylon system is a fraud. Get from the yard, they want come run me out of me yard. Month of the year, this is December. The best month. Thank you, Caroline. Oh. All right. I tell you, neighbor, don't promise any birthday party because you will have to live up to your word. All right. I tell you, I'm gonna be right here for my birthday. That's right. I'm gonna be right here, Daphne. Right here with you, my neighborite family. Do we have any guests online before we get back to the resident analysts, Scratchy and Harry? The people business alone. The people business. Yeah, it's my born month.
No neighbor.
No, okay. Great. Let's jump up back to the Scratch one. So Scratchy, after 10 o'clock. Scratchy, how much do you think the government has now solidified its position in terms of the disaster recovery and is now, just going to be taking off from here? Do you think that they have now solidified their position? They got everything under control, and now it's just delivery time?
Definitely neighbor. I'm definitely neighbor. Neighbor itch.
Me? I'm itching, so are you?
My
Caroline?
internet or neighbor internet?
Yes, neighbor.
Who is itching? Me or Scratchy?
I really don't understand the term, please.
Hello?
Itch.
Come true.
Hello?
You don't understand when them say about itch?
Caroline?
No, neighbor, I don't.
Yeah, itch.
No, sir. I tell you. All right.
No, I think I understand the term glitch, not itch.
Same thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
Caroline is too prim and proper.
It's not a glitch, it's an itch. You better scratch it. You better scratch it. Scratch it off. It's an itch. But that's not the you. Scratch the glitch. I tell you, what a switch. Oh my goodness. Don't miss, my brother. Are you there with me, Scratch?
Yes, neighbor, I'm right here, man.
Yeah, I'm asking you if you think the government has gotten a handle on things now and everything is going to just flow smoothly after this.
I'm definitely neighbor. 30 days neighbor after disaster neighbor. The government definitely have a better understanding and have a better hold over things neighbor. When you look at how things are going neighbor, it is done in a more smooth and more organized way, you know. Nothing beat organization neighbor. This is a government neighbor that is driven by data. Government that believe that data will lead it in its recovery. And definitely neighbor, I understand that a lot of persons might still see and looking and saying that government is not doing this or government not doing that. But persons have to be understanding the neighbor that we have a very smart government neighbor and we have a very understanding government. So persons who might complain and say that they are seeing private persons more than government dishing out food and stuff like that. Don't be stupid and don't be fool, guys. Government have to take a smart approach. This is not the opposition PNP. This is the Jamaica Labour Party. This is Andrew Holness. This is not Mark Goldie, neighbor. So when there's a person saying things like that, neighbor, the government can definitely match and don't do any private person's neighbor who is giving out or distributing food. The government is not going to stop any private citizens who wish to aid in the recovery. So neighbor, the government have to be cautious, have to be smart in its approach. The government realize, neighbor, that persons are predominantly bringing in food as the main aid to this year, neighbor. So the government cannot be foolish, neighbor, and go repeat it and spend its money on food again that these persons are already getting. So persons need to understand that the more help that these persons get, neighbor, from private citizens and private person and private groups, neighbor, it put the government in a stronger position to help with the recovery. A much stronger position. It means now, neighbor, that a lot of government resources, neighbor, now can directly go towards rebuilding persons' houses, neighbor, providing materials and providing any form of financial aid that is to come. So persons have to understand, neighbor, that it's not stupid, the government stupid, that the government don't want to help. The government is smart enough to realize that private citizens are doing a wonderful job in providing an overwhelming amount of food, neighbor. And the government would be stupid if they decide that they're going to match it and repeat it and waste precious funding that we need, neighbor, to aid in the recovery. So it's a simple thing, neighbor. It's a simple understanding. Persons that need to stop rush the government, as the Prime Minister said, allow the government to carry out its work. We voted in this government 2 months ago, you know. Don't feel like this is a government, or 3 months ago. Don't feel like this is a government where we don't have no theater, we don't have no building them. Come on, guys, man. We're a third term government, you know, not a first term, not even a second term. Third term government is aiding us and it's going to definitely bring us through this recovery, neighbor. The Prime Minister has done it before, neighbor. He did it in COVID. He came out as a winner in COVID, neighbor. Jamaica was used as a case study in a lot of countries, neighbor. Our economy bounced back, neighbor. We had about 19 to 20 consecutive quarters of growth before COVID, and COVID set us back. And immediately, neighbor, we were one of the first countries in the Caribbean, and even the western side of the world, neighbor, to be basically recover in terms of growth. back to our economy in a very short period of time. As you can see about the last period, the economy grew by 4.6%. So you can just imagine if we didn't have Hurricane Melissa, neighbor, where we would be in our final quarter. And our final quarter, neighbor, is the quarter where a lot of funding is spent. The Christmas season is one of our biggest spending season, neighbor. And it is a part of the final quarter. So it's just sad, neighbor, that Hurricane Melissa came and set us back, neighbor, to a certain level, neighbor. But we are not daunted. We are not in a position that we were 10 years before, neighbor. I already made mention that based on the loan and the stuff that the government will have to face, it's possible that we might see an increase back to the debt to GDP to about 69-70%. Still better than where we are coming from, neighbor. 10 years ago, neighbor, we were 130%, 120 to 130%. So 70%, neighbor, to 130. Definitely a wonderful feat, neighbor. I'm not perturbed. I'm not worried, neighbor. I'm very optimistic. I believe in this government. I believe in the cabinet, neighbor. And I believe that if there's any government that can lead Jamaica, neighbor, back to prosperity and recover in a timely manner, neighbor, a fast manner, and put back person's life on track, it is definitely a government that is led by Jamaica Lone's name. Definitely.
How do you see the visit of Bill Clinton on the island, Scratchy? It's a big deal, you know.
I mean, Bill Clinton, neighbor, I mean, you can attest to that, neighbor. For Obama, Bill Clinton was the most popular, most famous president in Jamaica, neighbor, US president in Jamaica, neighbor. Bill Clinton was a name that a lot of, I was a child at that time, but I remember as a kid, I can definitely remember Bill Clinton, neighbor. It was a name that I heard a lot. Bill Clinton was the president before even Obama and the Trumps. You know, his name is called in a lot of songs in Jamaica. The artists used to make reference of him a lot. So neighbor, a popular leader, neighbor, worldwide, one of the most loved US leaders, neighbor, a man who is loved worldwide. He's not only connected in the United States of America, neighbor, he has worldwide connection, neighbor. And even now as a past president, he's still being used, neighbor, in a lot of world negotiations in terms of peace and a lot of things that are going on right now, neighbor. For someone like a Bill Clinton, neighbor, to see it fit to visit Jamaica, neighbor, it is definitely a wonderful feat, and I definitely applaud him. You have a wonderful foundation, neighbor, a foundation that is trusted, a foundation that a lot of international donors have faith and believe in, and are not afraid to give their funds to, neighbor. And he can definitely help us, neighbor, in our recovery, neighbor. Again, any funding that comes from Bill Clinton is a foundation, so it won't become as a loan, it will be a grant. And definitely, neighbor, we can't turn down any grant in this time. We make a mock, we are Jamaicans. We need all the help that we can get.
The former president came on the island, Scratchy, and the prime minister was not even here. Babsy Grange is in charge of the government. The bench there, Scratchy.
I mean, definitely, neighbor, that is to show you, neighbor, how strong this government is, neighbor. This government, despite Jamaica Lone's being the prime minister, neighbor, we have a government, neighbor, that or a cabinet, neighbor, that is well organized, neighbor. He can be outside of the country, and we have world-class leaders who still see it fit to say, okay, despite you not being in the country, Mr. Prime Minister, I am still going to visit the rest of your cabinet minister, because I know they are capable and able and skillful as much as you, and they are part of the government. A lot of these decisions that are being made, neighbor, they are not made solely by Jones, neighbor. They are made by the cabinet. So each and every single one of our cabinet ministers, neighbor, deserves some form of accommodation and respect, you know, and I applaud Mr. Clinton to know that despite the Prime Minister not being on the land, he saw it fit, neighbor, to still come and show his president, neighbor. That shows how strong the government is, neighbor. Wonderful government, neighbor.
Right. And Scratchy, in terms of the response of the citizens of Jamaica at this time, do you sense that they have now accepted that we have had a natural disaster, the anxiety of it has passed, the fear of it has passed, and that they are now seeing, Scratchy, that their government is really, you know, looking out for them and are more amenable to the response of the government? Isn't it in that the opposition is losing its footing?
Definitely, neighbor. That's where the opposition is losing its footing, neighbor, because this week, neighbor, if you can look at this week, it was all about money, neighbor, and not just any type of money, neighbor, large sums of money, neighbor. We're being talked about for the entire week, neighbor. And persons who are in the disaster year, neighbor, this is what persons want to hear: money, 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 because it's going to take money to aid in the recovery. So definitely, neighbor, and I think these persons, Mark Jefferson Golden and the PNP, neighbor, I told you that they were going to fund their own sword. The citizens, neighbor, who are going through this, neighbor, they refuse to be political. I try to make any political thing to come and damper the recovery aid. And Mark Golding, neighbor, standing up in the parliament, neighbor, and saying that this is not something we should celebrate, neighbor. It definitely, I know a lot of these persons, neighbor, I hope that they see who is for them and who is against them. Because a caring government like this one, neighbor, cannot go out, neighbor, to seek the highest loan that this country has ever gone in the history of this country in such a short period of time to come and help the 900,000 citizens of Jamaica who are displaced, neighbor, and the opposition leader who continues to tout and talk about 400,000 people who support him is going to stand in the parliament, neighbor, and say that we should not celebrate this. So basically what the opposition leader is saying, neighbor, is that we should not celebrate in trying to aid in the recovery of these persons and putting back these persons' life together in a timely and quickly manner. And I want these persons who live in the disaster area, especially, neighbor, to pay keen attention to what is coming from the opposition side. You cannot come and talk against what we are trying to do, Mr. Opposition Leader. So, neighbor, again, I tell you, neighbor, all that Mark Jefferson Golden is doing, neighbor, it is working in favor of the government. And that is why, neighbor, Chevron from Nationwide can say what he's saying. These guys are journalists, neighbor. They have certainly more information than me and you. So these guys know a lot of talk that are going around. They know a lot of talk that are going around, neighbor. And they know that the pronouncement that the opposition leader stand up in the parliament and made, neighbor, it played against them. It definitely made a mess and made a mockery of them when the opposition leader stood up and said we should not celebrate this. That is total madness.
The point
What's the celebration
earlier, Scratchy, is that did Golden recognize that the multilaterals were listening to him? Am I not correct, Scratchy, that power is a thing that people need to understand, and that Jamaica's influence is also outside of Jamaica, Scratchy, that the multilaterals, other presidents of the world, other prime ministers, follow what is happening in Jamaica. They would have followed Parliament on Tuesday to find out what is the opposition going, how the opposition is going to respond. You don't think IMF would take note, the World Bank?
Definitely, neighbor. These multilaterals, neighbor. I must say these multilateral agencies, neighbor, their main aim, neighbor, is to help countries in times of financial disaster, whether it be man-made or natural disaster. So these are countries that they're funding is aid, so they're definitely, neighbor, gonna listen to these things to hear what are the pronouncements coming out. And again, neighbor, before I go any further, I just want to, if anyone from the World Bank is listening to us, neighbor, any of these multilateral agencies, I want to tell them that I dearly and deeply apologize on behalf of Mark Golding. This guy don't speak for us. He wasn't speaking for himself. Not even the 400,000 people who vote for him. They're all Jamaicans. He wasn't speaking for them either. So multilateral agency, I apologize for this guy not coming out and applauding you guys and thanking you guys for this timely, speedily, financial package that would definitely neighbor help our society going forward. So back to you now, neighbor. It is sad, neighbor, and I know that the multilateral agencies, neighbor, were shocked. They were from a glass-teeth, neighbor, when they hear that from the opposition leader stood up in the parliament and made a speech like that this should not be celebrated. Neighbor, this guy, he needs to go, neighbor. He's not just an embarrassment to himself, neighbor, but this guy's also slowly but surely, neighbor, embarrassing us on an international scale as well. And I just hope the multilateral agency don't let what is coming from the opposition leader make them think of Jamaicans in a way. This is why he's the opposition leader. This is definitely why he's the opposition leader.
You are apologizing to the multilaterals on behalf of Mr. Golding, sir?
Yes, neighbor, I owe these guys an apology, neighbor. It was a total embarrassment, neighbor, to know that the opposition leader of my country, neighbor, stand up in the parliament, neighbor, and at no point in time, no form of applaud was given to the multilateral agency, neighbor, for the swift response of this large sum of money, neighbor, to aid in the recovery of a person's life, neighbor. That is shocking and applauding to me, neighbor. If you said that first and then said what you had to say after, I would understand.
He does not speak for the people of Jamaica, sir?
No, this guy don't speak for us, multilateral agency. This guy does not speak for us. This guy is a dual citizen. He will know loyalty to us in Jamaica. Don't take him serious. This is why 3 months ago we voted him out. Neighbor, I give you a task the other day, and no, you don't find out. Neighbor, how much is the jet holidays? December, don't you know? How much for the total cost of the jet holiday, neighbor? We have to get rid of these guys for Christmas, neighbor. Get rid of them.
Yes.
Get rid of them, neighbor. He don't speak for us, neighbor. Mark Golding does not speak for Jamaicans. He does not. He made it clear, neighbor, that he only represents 400,000.
Uh-huh.
And we're a nation of 2.7 million there and 3 million in the diaspora. He does not speak for us.
But Scotchy, just to add to your point though, even the citizens, like not normal people overall, like even if you can't read, I always hear people say, oh, because they have to read the information, they won't understand. Now you have TikTok where all you have to do is just search and listen. And just for you to just listen, if you listen to Mr. Mark Golding, there is nobody on this earth where you listen to this guy, you hear the one news, to the something else, to the one, and you hear the hypocrite behavior, and you really are gonna tell me that this money is for the people. Like one moment you say you are the person that calling to say, Prime Minister, let us join hands to help. And when the Prime Minister extend the hand for you to help, you are gonna say, oh no, because overall, it's not involved the money where you want. You understand? And then you are going to reject the help. And then you are the same one going to complain to say the Prime Minister not help, don't want to allow us to help. Like there is no way for anybody with a common sense, with a brain, I going to say, this man is for the people. Like just listen alone allow you to see that there is no sense in what Mr. Mark Golding is doing. Even just look on when you look at Miss Burchell and her face, just looking at him, listening to him.
Neighbor, I saw someone in the chat asking who's going to pay back the money. You think that the loans that we are paying back right now is another money they spent on you? Have some more money where Michael Manley borrow we are paying back right now. Yeah, but who's going to pay back the money?
Well, Scratchy, actually ask her to come up, So I waiting patiently because I'd love to know. I'd like to
Kasha
hear.
asked about who's going to pay back the money.
Yeah, I think she have an interesting take for if I want to use that word, and I'd like to, for her to express it so I can have a better understanding and appreciation for the perspective.
Money, the loans that we are paying back right now, who did borrow them loan here where we are paying back right now?
PNP.
PNP.
Be specific, Miss Portia Simpson Miller.
And see Mark Jefferson Golding and him friend, them name that one day it was a Minister of Finance, big object failure. We run with it and mash up the country. And sell him constituency to Mark Golding. Omar Davis. You couldn't want to sell Mark Golding over jungle.
But Scratchy and neighbor, I'd like to have your take on something. So right? The 6.7 billion US, approximately 2.4 billion of that is geared towards the private sector. From your understanding and your experience, have we ever had that level of confidence in our private sector by any multilateral or any other institution before?
Go ahead, Scratch.
All right. You see, $150 million where them cost about what we lend JPS. 450 million US now this money is to JPS, $450 million US out of this money that we get from the loan is for JPS. So when we go and talk PNP, we never next, we can't come to Jamaica loan, so we cannot come to this government.
But Scratchy, just to add to your point though, I think I was on a PNP live and then they were talking about a contract that the PNP gave to JPS was a good contract towards Jamaican people. So I'm saying that how can it be a good contract when we are the same people that are complaining regarding JPS and the bill? And then I explained someone regarding something in the contract where it stated that if JPS any circumstances is in any form of debt, it should not bring up in the negotiation of, like, for instance, if they're given to a next party or there's a next person coming to own the JPS program, any owing on our debt that is in their budget should not be bring up in the sales. And the person is going to say that these are good negotiation regarding the JPS.
JPS contract is one of the biggest hindrance to growth and prosperity in Jamaica. And you say whosoever negotiated that contract should be locked up. Should be locked up. Whosoever negotiated that contract and sign off, and that should be locked up. The contract all the whole country at hostage. The contract is designed in a way where JPS is not losing in a no way, shape, or form. Even the 50 million, 45 million, so them I get from the account when in the K factor where all you are control. That money is from customers, same way. So that money is over them say $20 half of the normal residential customer, them fee go towards it, plus more from commercial customers. So JPS is not losing in no way, shape, or form. They charge us extra for the thief and of electricity. The people who don't pay a light bill in Jamaica, who pay a light bill still pay it for them because you have a part of a percentage of your light bill is for theft. JPS not losing in no way, shape, or form. It's the biggest hindrance to growth in our country, JPS.
To put the final nail in the coffin, in a Scratchy. I don't know any institution where it holds a nation, as I say, as hostage when it comes down to an insurance. Because let's not forget, JPS is unable to get an actual insurance because they say it's very expensive. So how can someone be negotiating, a country can be negotiating a contract, right, for its people and allow JPS to have the people as the insurance, meaning when polls and all of that drop down and lines mash up for JPS, that in itself passes on to the customers themselves. The surcharge of bill after a disaster, no matter how big or small it is, goes into the bill of the people. And that is their insurance. That is their form of, I think they call it self-insurance. You cannot negotiate something like that and expect that's going to be something good for your people.
All right. Muslim?
Yeah, I'm here.
Morning. Good afternoon. Good night, sir. You are in Jamaica?
Yes, I am.
You're in Jamaica, sir?
Yes, I am.
Which parish?
In Spanish Town, and I work in Kingston.
Spanish Town is the capital. You're in St. Catherine.
But just to ask Scratchy something though. You know what I feel? I believe that they should change the structure of how Jamaicans pay light bill on the whole. Because I was saying to somebody, I rather them, like take out a 2% out of, once you're working at every companies and everybody overall, like take a 2% of your salary just to go towards the electricity. Why?
He's breaking up. He's breaking up.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, because I'm saying that even the person called the inner city, right? A lot of them have jobs. A lot of them are working. When you have the vast majority of Jamaica, once they're working, they contribute to the bills on a whole, rather than you work at, if you live right here, so P, if you live in the city, P and all of those stuff. They understand me? I think there's supposed to be a reconstruction in the whole entire thing regarding how you pay bills. Because I don't think it's sufficient, because the way everything set up is that if you live in the inner city, you live in a Tivoli, you live in a Arnett Yard, then all those communities, they don't pay a bill.
No,
Then I
man,
pay
if
light
I
bill.
pay
Then I
like bill,
pay.
call back to and call back to and them.
Yeah,
Pay. See what
all of them. That's why I believe that the majority of Jamaica citizens don't pay light bill. The majority, because
Let's tell
majority.
you why that can't be no Muslim. It's a JPS in the first thing. JPS is a privately owned institution. The type of light system you are coming that would have considered as a social type of light system. We're funded by us as private citizens through whatever means of tax or whatever. So you find the government cannot put us as citizens and a private company again off our in any social mean. Get me? I say? So that's one of the main reasons why it can't go the way.
No, but the reason why I said the 2%, scratchy, because again, if you take out that 2% out of my pay rather than the amount I pay a month, I rather the 2% than what I'm paying a month. Right, and then when you collect the 2%, that includes
2% of your pay might higher than what you pay a month, Muslim.
No.
Muslim. May I tell you, if that come into play, me
if I get 100,000 a month, 2% of that how much?
$2,000.
So that can't be right, bill.
That's why I'm saying that no, it can't, But when you look on the, you would have collect more money. As I said, the majority of Jamaica citizens do not pay. The only way you can get them to pay is as long as you have a structure where once you're working, that 2% would have contributed to from your pay towards the light bill. Now again, if you take the 2%, it is more feasible for you to get it.
Yeah, come now with a flat rate thing now, Muslim. Remember, says a pay as we use system we have now. We pay based on the amount of electricity you use. So I can use a certain less amount of electricity, and I am paying a certain amount that might be more than what me normally pay. So you get what I say? So the system is set up a way for that type of system where I come with Muslim. The system is more of a social system if JPS was owned by the government. But it is not owned by the government, it's a privately run company. Government have about 19% in it. So it's difficult for them running it on a social media to say, you directly collect the tax from person's salary or whatsoever. You get me? It's a social form of thing that. A more government normally do them thing that, and it can't be run through a private company if it's going to be a social program.
All right, we have another caller on the line. His name is Son or Union man?
Yes. Yeah, man. Good night, my brother. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Yeah, man. Good night to your listeners as well. All right. Let me just address that. It can happen because you have thing named subsidy. And if the government can say, all right, we're going to subsidize a portion of JPS bill by we collecting tax, so that the government can interact with the private entity as a body representing the people. You understand? So it can happen. So that is a good suggestion because a lot of people, once them working, them can pay a percentage, and it seems like how you pay education tax. We go towards education. You understand? Do what it can do. Now, I do all, but do what it can do. So a lot of people, so now you have to have more social worker for really assess people. To see who can, so everybody, you understand, but it can work. It's a wonderful idea. It just
First time on this program, sir? First time up here?
I believe so, this is the first time. Well, let me just get to the point now when the gentleman said it was in Spanish Town. He was right. And when you explained to him that you were incense catching, you are also right. Because Spanish Town is incense catching and he's in Spanish Town. So I said that.
What parish? Yeah, what parish?
What parish is it?
What parish? But once you know Spanish Town, because all of us is familiar that Spanish Town is in the parish of St. Catherine. So it can work the same. Is how we look at it. Is how we look at it. But let me just get to
No, sir. People are listening to the program, you know.
Yeah.
And is Spanish Town a parish law? Is Spanish Town a parish law? Is Spanish Town a parish law?
But where is it?
And tell you to identify the parishes of Jamaica. Would you put Spanish Town?
Identify the parishes. All right.
No. Would you put Spanish Town?
That would be a different context. I have to write the parish.
It's not different context.
But
The
if you
state.
say, No man, that's all I know is how we look at things. We can look at it, it is drawn on a piece of paper, where I point, I touch Spanish Town, but it's still in the geographical area of St. Catherine. So it almost the same.
No,
you understand?
Tankor.
It's how we look at things.
Tankor,
all right, no make we debate, man. All right.
No, man.
Maybe we don't step back, but we just move it then. I want to move on.
No, Tankor. Listen, man. Part of what we do here is teach, sir. We have to teach people better. Let the man explain.
Tankor?
Yeah, man, I'm hearing it.
We'll have 14 parishes, and Spanish Town is none of them. All right? It is the same thing. We ask what parish you're in, you can't tell a Spanish Town. If you're in Westmoreland as a parish, and we ask where's Sablamar, you can't tell them Spanish Town is not a parish, and that unless that change in the future and Spanish Town become a parish, then it's fine. But as it stands, St. Catherine is a parish.
All right, fair enough. We could move on. I just say that to open-minded. You understand? But since you're narrowed down to that way.
No,
right,
man. No, man.
All right, let me just move on now. Please, let me just move on now, my brother. You get it. You have it. Take it. So let me move on now. What I am saying now, we must view politics in a way like how you explain it. It must be direct. And what people are doing is using to say, boy, the contract was such and such. What was the benefit for the people of the country? And with the people of the country, like how you narrow it down to that, what we are doing about it. So you can say, listen, no, it's exactly why we are allowing to them to do it the other way. And you're not forcing it. No matter which side do it. Like how you say, it is that way. Yeah, the parish is. And you understand? Why we are not doing that. We do other things, the other way. But when it comes to us to really stand up and do something, we just echoing what is happening. And say that's one doing.
I am lost as well.
Not so sure what you're saying. Help us.
As well.
All right, let me help you. What I am saying, when I listen to you guys speak, it's either PNP or JLP. I don't hear individuals speaking in the interest of the country and highlighting what the JLP has doing good, and I like what the PNP has done good, and I like the bad they have done, and I like the bad direction that they believe or see their party doing. Everybody just want to defend a party, and the party thing is the problem. We have to narrow down things that is bad and say that is bad. It's not a PNP thing.
So Tankor, have you ever listened to me speak on the JPS matter before? Or have you ever listened to me speak any at all?
No, man. That's why I was listening to you. That's why I joined the conversation. I was listening. I was flicking through.
Tankor.
Go ahead.
If a body of water is clean, would you say it's dirty?
If the body of water is clean.
Yeah, would you say it's dirty water? Looking at it look clean to you and everything. Would you say it's dirty?
Me looking at it and assess it. Well, if I come to the assumption that it is clean.
Yes, come to the assumption and everything that it is clean.
That is my assumption. It is clean.
So you wouldn't say this part, or looking at you wouldn't say it's dirty then. So if I'm up here on the platform and I am talking about the reality of what is going on, and if it happens to fall in favor of the Jamaica Labour Party, am I being biased? Am I being political?
No, you cannot be. What I am saying is, although people will speak good, because that's what a debate is. People try to say, listen, my house is the best house, and try to argue things around it. Sometimes they get so caught up in arguing to win a point, they miss the bigger underlying issue where I keep in the quagmire. This before me, your grandparents, I believe my grandparents did have sense. You know, if nobody believes if them grandparents have sent them, we super smart than them, and we just have figure out and what it been happening is the game.
So where are you now? Can't go. Where are you? What I want to get off? You want to get a full understanding. Are you saying that we are highlighting the government, the JLP too much, or we're not talking about the good of the PNP too much? What
I
are
was
you
about
saying?
to ask them.
What are you saying?
All right. I'm not saying, what I am saying is there is a set of person who come on what I'm listening to argue pertaining to a particular party. I have a next set to argue pertaining to a particular party. What I am saying, yeah, we keep echoing the good and the bad these people has done. What are we doing to the underlying issue? To go back to what my brother said, at the parish this, what we are, why we cannot collaborate to say that. These ideas, or we're going to challenge these things. They messed up with the JP. What we're going to do for Carrick, so they're not get to do it again. But we as a people are going to legislate for put things in place so that not happen again. Those type of things I talk about.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend? What would you recommend?
That's what I was going to say, because again, that's why we have a government who will vote for somebody in power to say that I trust this person to work on behalf of me. Just as though person negotiation for contract, or you have person to talk for you, you now going at the board and talk and tell them say you want 5% raise or whatever. You know that anybody that speaks for you.
But Muslim, when I said Muslim. What I said to a Muslim is, yes, you bring up the JPS and you say mess up. What would you recommend, Tancourt?
But that's what I'm trying to tell him, that we cannot go to JPS and speak and go and negotiation ourselves. That's why we put up the government in place to say that this person, Andrew Holness and his body will act for the best interest of the people. So that I'm saying that I'm trying to make sense out of where he might try to say. I'm not sure what he's trying to say, but me I try to make sense to say that he's trying to say that we talk.
Mr. Gentleman? Hello?
I'm here.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening.
Is it your first time on this listening to the program?
All right, no. If we keep doing something over and over, we get the same result. We need a mental check.
All right, Tankor. I'm going to keep it simple, all right? What is the purpose of you being in the box tonight? What value are you looking to add, or what clarity you're seeking tonight?
Wonderful. That is the question I want to talk about. Yeah, man. So I was saying that I was listening and they were discussing the same issue. And the gentleman was discussing the same one that I was listening to when he make that say the tax thing with the JPS thing. Those things interested me. So I say, yeah, this sound interested. And I was listening, and I said, if we can get these brilliant person who are thinking so hard about this thing to collaborate, the both of them to say what we are going to do for the underlying issue, it would have been so beautiful. And adapt me to try more to interact with you guys, to commend you guys, to say on the knowledge of the whole thing. But we're going to fix it so these things don't keep occurring over and over. Because our grandparents them face the same thing, and they would have sense.
Well,
and
thank
we
you.
have faced the same thing. Our children, yeah.
To put it this way, right? There are persons elected and trusted with that level of responsibility to negotiate on our behalf as citizens. And I think being that we put them there, we should trust how they negotiate. If there's something we see after or during the negotiation that we don't think is in our best interest, we can utilize our democracy and speak out, whether that is going directly to the representatives or groups or so on. We can do that. But the question I want to ask, that should settle that there, because neither persons who are on this panel tonight is in the capacity, right, or have the expertise to negotiate that contract. Regardless of how well we are and whatever we know, there are a level of intricacies in that contract that has to be dealt with at a higher level. And we are bold enough to say, while we understand and know some things of it, there are persons higher and better equipped with the comparative advantage to negotiate, which we're seeing being done for the first time in over 10 years. So that rests that aspect of the conversation as far as I am concerned.
Well, you know, Harry, please don't waste your time. His intention was to disrupt the program. You know, just move on.
No, man, because it
Yeah, I believe he got tired of us, you know, speaking so good up and then talking about Andrew. Well, he just wanted to remove the topic and, you know, well.
Exactly. He just wanted to disrupt the program, and I recognize that. He's been on the program before, and, you know, as a matter of fact, it's the second time I'm disconnecting him from the box. So let's move on.
The Caroline
Right.
is coming to the season of giving, you know. It's a season of giving, you know, and you're going very harsh. Mind Santa give you a coal in a sock.
I'm sure we will be well serenaded with some Christmas carols.
Higher Love on Politics Plus. Hello there, G Keeper. How are you doing? Reality Facts, you're here too, eh? All right, I think we are going to have to get on to the final stretch of tonight's program. So Muslim?
Oh yeah, yes I'm here. Yes, sir.
So you're in Spanish Town, right?
Yes, I am.
Mm-hmm. What's happening in Spanish Town, Muslim? Why the town looks a man?
Well, you know, typical Jamaica issue when, you know, they from what I see on a daily basis, where when they clean, the drains have been clean, right? But they left the mess on the outside, and is like it's there for about a week now, almost, so maybe soon be 2 weeks, and it's like, I'm not sure. It's like typical Jamaica to say that once they do something, it's like them left the work for somebody else, or somebody else have to come finish up something, or whatever it may be. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure, but it just showing person that something has been done, because I wouldn't know the drain is clean if I don't see the mess on the outside. I'm just saying. But the drain has been clean, but the mess is still on the road, on the corner of the road, on the outside. Yeah.
Okay. So from where you sit, Muslim, how do you see the hurricane recovery going across the island now? Think the government is doing a good job, or the criticism are fair?
All right. So on the overall body, right? I think we have to search very hard to say that the government is really doing a good job, because again, if you don't search for those stuff, you won't see. And regarding what the job the government does, I think they have done a good job regarding how to have person access. You can't just jump and say, all right, let's try this, let's do this, and then you don't put a fundamental thing in it. That's what I always tell a person, like, the first thing of doing, you know, attention to these matters is when you try to do the cleanup and the accessibility. That's what the government always talk about, to say that give the person the freedom to move. I can go to this parish, you know, you clean up the road before you start you can't go start the building when the road not clean up. You can't do something where the person them not have no light and no water. So you get the fundamental stuff out of the way, and then you start the structure. So based on my knowledge, when you see the government making sure that the road is free up, they have light and water. When you get that out of the way, I see that as the major structure that the government is doing, and they're doing it brilliant.
You think they are doing a brilliant job?
I think they're doing a great job. As again, for me, I don't hear all the complaints that are happening is majority of the person maybe living overseas are not in the resident of these parishes that is damaged. Everybody is the outside talking. They don't see the person that is in the parish saying that the government is not doing anything. I have yet to see that.
All right. I think that we have okay, so Scratchy, a great week you think for the government in terms of what it was able to push through, and as you were telling me earlier, that you think that at this point they should have things under control, and going from here on, the people should start seeing much more as the government move from the early stages of recovery to reconstruction, eh?
Definitely, but it's all about reconstruction from now on going right back into 2026, neighbor. Definitely, the government is on the ball. Persons don't have to worry. You're hearing all of these cash being floated around and being talked about, neighbor. Cash is there, neighbor, to carry out the job, and I think that is the most important thing. It takes cash to care. And the greatest thing is that the government has the cash at its disposal to carry out the job. So I don't think we have anything to fear, anything to worry about, neighbor. It's just being assessed right now. And persons in the disaster area, neighbor, I understand that these persons, neighbor, they are impatient, and I sympathize with them, neighbor. I definitely do. I think we all should understand that they're plight, neighbor, and understand what they're going through. So I share with them, neighbor. I also want them to understand that whatever they're going through, neighbor, they will come back better, neighbor. I envision that a lot of these persons will get a much more comfortable home, neighbor, a much more durable home, neighbor, a much more expensive home even than one that they might have lost. So whatever bad, neighbor, there's some good, and there's good definitely be coming out of this situation. So persons just continue to be calm. Don't listen to the opposition, neighbor. We have 28 opposition members, neighbor, who are in the parliament and who are going around spewing all type of misinformation and trying their best to muddy the water and make things look bad on the part of the government. As I said before, they're going to fall on their own sword. So I just ask well-thinking Jamaicans to continue to rebut the misinformation, continue to stand firm with the government. And to any persons out there, neighbor, because persons continue to come on the platform and saying that we're being political or we're being one-sided. I mean, yes, it's no secret that I support the governing Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor. When I come and speak about whatever I speak about, I'm not talking, I'm not here telling any form of lies or anything. These are information that are out there. Anyone can go and research these information and find them. So the chip of the fall where the fall, neighbor. And if I'm speaking facts and it is making the governing Jamaica Labour Party look good, neighbor, I'm not intentionally doing that, neighbor, or trying to make the government look good. I'm just speaking from a fact to a point of fact. So the facts like goes where they goes, neighbor. And the opposition, neighbor, person saying that we should talk what the good about the opposition. I don't think I'm a dishonest person. I don't see anything good that I can talk to, that I can speak about the opposition, neighbor. These guys have been the biggest problem, neighbor, towards the recovery process. It is such a shame and embarrassment to know that in a situation like this, neighbor, it is not the ability to provide food, and it is not the ability to reconstruct these persons' homes is our biggest issue, neighbor. Our biggest issue is the opposition party, neighbor. And I just hope that they cut the rhetoric, neighbor, they cut the foolish. I hope that the opposition leader for once just show some form of patriotism, sir. Just try to sympathize, try to understand what is going on. And I ask that they come out and apologize for the statement that they made in the parliament the other day towards the multilateral agency. It is very disappointing from you, sir, as the leader of the opposition, as the alternative government, alternative leader, or prime minister of the country. That is an embarrassment on the party, to know that these persons were watching, expecting to gain some form of applause, and you come and bash them in their face, telling the Jamaicans that we should not celebrate. Yeah, neighbor, I understand that it is a loan, and it is something that we're going to have to pay back. But we don't want to believe it or not, neighbor, this is a loan that can help us. Are we in a situation to pay back?
No,
of course. Are we in a situation
I don't know about you, but there have been times in my life when I'd love to get a loan, and if I had asked for the loan and they had turned it down, Scratchy, boy, back would be against the wall. There are times when loan takes you out of it, sir.
Neighbor, loan is everything, neighbor. I live in a country, neighbor, that runs on loan, We've got to live in the first world, neighbor. These countries runs on loan, neighbor. I can't just go buy something cash out, neighbor. I can't just go buy 100,000 cash, neighbor. This place run on loan, I can't just go take up $2 million go buy a house, This place run on loan, neighbor. And so that's how the system says. We know the importance of loan, persons who understand business. And the opposition leader, someone who have a financial background, should have known better, neighbor. And should have known that a pronouncement like that, neighbor, would definitely cause some form of rebut from the upper echelons of the society, neighbor. And I definitely tell the neighbor that the opposition leader is a total disaster, neighbor. I believe a lot of persons, neighbor, who have high admiration for this guy, in his so-called Tapanari circle. They are disappointed in his behavior, neighbor, and his style. And Jamaica is a place, neighbor, where persons often say that 21 family rule Jamaica. And I can tell you right now, neighbor, that this opposition party, neighbor, don't have more than 3 of those families by their side right now. They have the last majority. At one point, neighbor, I remember when the whole 21 family was in solidarity with the opposition People's National Party, neighbor. And I can tell you right now, and I'm not talking in water in my mouth, that the opposition People's National Party, neighbor, has lost its way. They have damaged the middle class, and they have lost the middle class of Jamaica, and they have lost the upper echelon of society. Those people are not with their neighbor. And these information that are being spewed at this aspect or this part of the recovery process with these money that are being spewed. Yes, the common man might don't understand what go on, neighbor, but this is what neighbor, the upper echelon understand and the business sector understand. And these persons, these are what they want to hear. Confidence, this improved confidence, neighbor. And this will let these persons know, say, all right, I have the confidence and the belief that I can go and garner a certain loan. I can pump back a certain amount of money into my business because I know that the economy is strong and the economy is resilient. If you look at if you look at the loan, neighbor, the loan is breakdown, neighbor, all type of sector that are most important towards our country, our development, neighbor. I told you before, neighbor, 450 million US of this loan is supposed to go to the JPS. There's a power portion of this loan for the business sector, the insurance companies. Neighbor, this loan is for every single sector. It is not just a rush. And I'm going to land, neighbor, because you know, I have to wrap up right now. So just continue to stay focused, everyone, and just believe in the government, man. 1 p.m.
Harry?
Well, Scratchy is now 11:04 p.m. But neighbor, the truth is, just to touch in terms of what Scratchy said, I don't think people have understood the fact that wherever the facts are and wherever the truth is, you have to speak it, right? And wherever
do you think that the platform is biased? Would you say that, Harry?
No, neighbor, because I can't even speak for myself, neighbor. I think I've been rather fairly objective, right? I've found areas where the opposition have somewhat done a good job, and I give them flowers, neighbor, right? I always say whether their intent is good or bad, if a strategy is good, it is good. If it's not, then I call it out. And same for the current administration. There are some things we said could have probably done a little bit faster, and we know what would have happened, right? So it's not the fact that we don't speak where the facts are. We don't speak what the truth is. But I think some people, because the facts and truth does not lie on their side and doesn't fall with their agenda, they see our perspective and the facts as not so much objective. But I think they are the ones who need to put on a better glasses or take off them colors, neighbor, and see it for what it is. Because at some point in time, you can have an agenda for so much and can do so much and no more. But the truth will always come out. The truth will always live supreme, neighbor. And if the truth and the facts lies with the current administration, then who are we to try and cover that up? Because that would also hinge on our integrity. And I don't think I can question anybody's integrity on this panel, neighbor. We've been true. We've brought the facts. We are also learning as we go along. And that is something we welcome anybody to come on the panel and speak to, and together, learning from each other, neighbor, we get better, right? We attack the issues with the facts, because we can't move forward if we don't know what the truth is, right? Because then your decision making will be skewed, and that doesn't set good for when you're placing a good foundation to build on, neighbor, which is something we're seeing the current administration doing. And for those persons who don't like it, it does, as I said, it doesn't fall for their agenda. Then I said, take a step back. Mother always say, if you don't have anything good to say, don't open your mouth, neighbor. So I'll give them that advice. I'll also say to them to take some time to fact check, to do some reading, get some understanding as to what the issues are, as to what it should be as well, and also what we're looking to do going forward. Because we can only build on the truth. We can only build on the facts, neighbor. for a good and strong future, and that's what we want our beautiful Jamaica to be. Again, the world has seen it. The world has said we are a model for a lot of things, especially in risk management and disaster management, and that is true. And those are facts, regardless of who the administration is. Should we not build on that, neighbor? As I put that to persons, but I put that to them. I leave them to decide what they want to do, neighbor. But I know for me personally,
is it not true, Harry? As I am hearing in many discussions, not on social media really, but in private circles, that there is a disappointment in Mark Golding's response on Tuesday. That many persons in society were expecting him to be a bit more patriotic in his response, and that he probably would have disappointed the multilaterals.
Of course, it is a fair point, neighbor, right? Because he didn't do himself any justice, to be honest. I think he was taken aback by not just the figures that was put out, but also I don't want to say he was overwhelmed by the level of confidence from the rest of the world to Jamaica, and also how well we've accepted the strategies and the institutions being put in place to govern how well we're going into this recovery phase. And I think he didn't have an answer for that, neighbor, right? And of course, in with all due respect to him, maybe he wanted to have an idea as to what the PM would have said to maybe properly prepare, but that is not something happens anywhere in the world, right? You're the opposition. You are there to understand what was being said, and if you can find any loopholes or something that is not necessarily the best in what was said, then you point it out and stand on that. But he couldn't, neighbor, and it says a lot as to what the alternative choice is, and it's not something I think Jamaica will look to exercise on that side at all.
So those persons who are linking that to being unpatriotic, do you think they are being hard on the leader?
I don't think so, neighbor. I think it's actually a time for them to rest their foot down on him, because he's been getting away with a lot of things that are very unpatriotic, neighbor, and we've pointed them out. Yes, neighbor, you have to put your foot down on stupidity and on foolishness and call it for what it is. Call a state for a state.
Let me put you in it. Were you the leader of the opposition, Harry? How would you balance the politics of the moment? Because remember, you can't really not play to your gallery, in politics. It's a zero-sum game. How would you balance both interests, the interest of the society and the obvious interest of your party? Those persons who want you to clearly not come out and be fully behind the government because you are the opposition. How would you balance those two?
Well, neighbor, for one, you'd have to take it from the macro level first. I'd look at my MPs to technically to one up the government, neighbor. I'd want my member of parliaments, especially in my stronghold area, to be able to bring enough. So technically, whatever response they take should be better than what the ruling government MPs are doing, neighbor. So we have to be first on the ground. We have to be coming forthright with suggestions that are smart, measurable, actionable, and so on. And I didn't get that from them. So that's one aspect I would take, because I have to not only want to show up the government to show that I'm better at it, but also I want to do so for the betterment of my people. And right there, that's a win-win. The other part to it is that let's say we can look at the whole JPS situation. Again, we do know a few member of parliament from the opposition would have cried out for utilities.
So don't leave the question I asked. Don't leave the question I asked, do Harry. Because I'm saying to you that the opposition leader is facing a situation where clearly the government has scored a major win with the 6.7 billion. A major win. And he goes to parliament and he cannot, in all good conscience, be expected to say, "Congratulations, Prime Minister. I applaud the government for this. and I'm right behind you, they would ask him later on, man, what you going to Parliament to do? What would be a better approach to take? How could he have
Well,
said
neighbor,
this?
you can comment the approach of the administration and the neighbor, even as an opposition. What you don't want to do is to point out the fault lines where you can come in with alternative solutions, right? You don't want to put up somewhat of a unified front, but at the same time, you don't want to be basking in the glory of the administration, even if you do realize overall the plan is maybe better than what you would have been able to do. So what you do is say, okay, we see where the plans are in place, but we're not seeing how it would benefit this person or this set of people or whatever it is. So you are really saying, yes, it's a good move, but it is not complete, it is not foolproof, and that's where you step up as the alternative.
Yeah,
Right.
but after that, neighbor, nobody plan will be perfect. Everything will have fault. And as the opposition leader, that's where you're supposed to come in to say that even though the fault might not damage, but you still can, bring up those 1 and 2 fault, because everything is going to have issue. Now, for an opposition leader, you always is in the better position than the prime minister. Why I say that? Because you have opportunity to suggest, to say something rather than of the person doing the action where you can fail. As I said, there is nothing that is going to be perfect. No, as the opposition leader, I am not going to expect you to come in there and applaud the prime minister for anything that is done, because you're going to put yourself in a position where you're telling the person that, oh, you don't need somebody new. But your job is, like, for instance, where I think Mr. Mark Golding is going bad is when, for the first part is where he said that, extend the hand for us to come and help. But when he take on it, and when the prime minister come and say, all right, there's a hand to come and help you, reject it. You shouldn't have put yourself in a situation of doing that. You should have suggested, like, other plans to say that if I suggest something, like, for instance, I'll say that create an independent party where this person can individually choose do those stuff. And when the prime minister take up your plan, you can say that, I was the person who put this on board. You understand? That is where you put yourself in a great position. Or if the prime minister do something and fail, you can come out and say, listen, as a prime minister, you're supposed to do this, and this. It might not work as what you planned, but by saying it sounds like something that can work. Not until you do it, you know if it can work or fail. But as I said, as the opposition leader, you're in a great position where you can suggest things and let it look good. As a businessman, them always say a businessman can, showcase your plan, even though you sell your plan, even though it might fail. The way you sell your plan, it gives the person some impression that, this person have sense of know what he's doing, even though your plan might fail. But as I said, he's in a position where he can suggest things, he can look at things, he can find a pinpoint. As I said, the pinpoint may not be something that can damage the country, but that is where you come in to say that this you never do right. Even though out of 10 things you do one wrong, you pinpoint the one thing that he did wrong.
Fantastic. So what you're both saying, Harry, is that what the opposition should do is to bat for the people. Don't really criticize the loan. The loan is necessary. Speak to how it is to be used to benefit the people.
Definitely, neighbor, because remember, there are so many things that you may have a little mishap there about as we go in the recovery. As Muslim said, of course, nothing will be perfect, and that's where you rise to the occasion, as Sizzler would say, right? And that is where you get your moment of strength, your advantage, because the truth is the government is under pressure. They face the biggest scrutiny. You as opposition get a layup. Right? Any fault lines you can identify in a good plan can make a good plan look bad. But you can't just call it out for what it is and don't have a solution. And that is the problem we're having with the current opposition. In fact, I'd go one step further. I would want to be at one of the press briefing as the opposition leader, neighbor, even if it means being on the opposite side to ask a question.
One of the government press briefing?
Yes, neighbor. Even to ask, because I can get I can get traction from that, neighbor. So just like how we see Dion Jackson Milan and many other persons asking questions, I would turn up as the opposition to ask a question, right? And that question won't be easy.
Wow.
And
but then a lot of people would say you can ask those in parliament.
No, but you don't have to, because especially if Parliament didn't get around to that to be answered, you can double down on a press briefing, right? And forget this whole individual thing of holding your own press conference.
You feel like he might hijack in the press conference?
No, neighbor, it wouldn't be hijacking. It would actually you taking a different step for the people. You'll be coming down to their level.
I don't think that would be a smart move, Harry.
No, man, it can be done, Scratchy. Even have one of the member of parliaments come, because what they're doing, is hurting themselves more by having their own press conference and coming up with theatrics, right? Yeah. It is more subtle to do it at a government held press briefing. I'd want to say it's also cheaper.
Wouldn't it be nice if you had a joint press conference with the prime minister and the leader of the opposition? Well, I don't know. I mean, anyway, then turn Makajuk then.
But there's that as well, because they've already asked for something and they got it and refuse it. And I did point that out, say it would have hurt them in a neighbor. I did say it on this program. And so said, so done. Because we saw Mark Golding asking for additional time as the opposition speaker to speak, and he only got 5 minutes because they abused that as well. Right? With
here so much. Let me hear from Mr. Punkus. He asked for 5 minutes. Mr. Punkus?
Yes, neighbor morning. Well, it's 5 a.m. where I am.
Well, no. Hold on, sir. Hold on. Like the Speaker of the House, you don't have time to complete your presentation. You have 5 minutes.
No problems. I'll make much of my time.
Yes.
Let us dial it back a bit. One of the things that made Jamaica fall in love with the Prime Minister when he was opposition leader is his sense of being a responsible person. And he stood out as opposition leader to say, we won't go down the path of past opposition leaders or just oppose sake. He prepared himself.
Punkus, his party did not support that.
I know, but sometimes you have to take the unpopular route.
But that is one of the reasons why he was challenged, because many in the party felt that he was too conciliatory, that he wasn't chucking it to Portia. So opposition leaders have to read the room, sir, and you have to balance the interest in your party too.
True.
Are you representing your party, sir?
But we have seen the benefit the fruit that they've brought. Now, when we look at how Mark Golding has presided, we have seen persons who support his party publicly, public figures, time and time come out again with misinformation. Now, he doesn't have to call them out personally, His party, the general secretary or somebody from the party can say, hey, listen, like for instance, what L.A. Lewis did before the hurricane, right? You don't have to call out L.A. Lewis' name, but as a party can say, hey, listen, do not follow this misinformation. Prepare yourselves, show responsibility. And they have not done that time and time again. They get some, as Harry said, easy layups, easy goals, and they turn it into our own goal. Them score on themselves, right? And this is what a lot of people are disappointed in. They said, this is so easy. When the opposition had an opportunity to show Jamaica that, listen, we are a government in waiting. We are prepared. Dayton Campbell is a medical doctor, right? And he's associated with one of the hospitals in Western Jamaica. Where is his team of doctors on the ground before anybody else? We're their team. What is the job of the opposition leader? What is he busy doing that he's not there? Remember, Bruce Golding was everywhere. When there was a disaster, Bruce Golding was the first on the scene. Why is Mark Golding making a fuss? I need a helicopter from the JDF too. I need this. Bruce Golding got a helicopter from Michael Leachin and went to many disaster areas, and I'm saying show a show of force, a show of presence, show of care, right? too many simple, careless things are attached to your name, right? And as that Harris said, right, there are simple things that you can do to say, hey, you know what? We're not play politics with this, right? Mr. Prime Minister, you can tie up that little party better, Many things like that can happen, right? Even how you present your questioning. It sounds more that you're more looking at the bankroll than looking at the people.
Yes.
We don't
That is why
where
the
the
whole matter
care
of his patriotism is been questioned.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
it is.
we don't. We want to see an organization from his side. We're not seeing that.
And not only from him, sir, but do you realize that the opposition MPs have been even worse?
Yes.
One of them suggesting that they're not even getting anything from the government, which both ministers of the government have come out to say that the man is lying.
No, but okay. Look at how many persons from the public, I won't even go Shaggy and Shampa. These are billionaires, regular people, take up their money, right? Organize their families, organize groups of friends, and say, you know what? Let us do our part until the government chips in. They're not out there cussing the government and say, I'm holding them under the ear. We as an opposition is going to say, hey, let us come together. Let us show care for the people. You understand?
So let me ask you the question I asked Harry. Faced with the same set of criteria, well, not criteria, but the same set of things on the table in Parliament on Tuesday, how do you think the opposition leader could have responded in a way that Jamaica say, yeah, the mania is on our side?
Explaining. Because remember, when you can break down the thing to the common man, right, you win there, so. That's a big win, because many times, the common man don't understand what's happening in Parliament, because even with the generator thing, right? Well, I'll lease the generator. If you get the generator to the people, them. So you're causing a tit for tat, a confusion. If you as an opposition can use these simple scores, these simple goals, and explain to the people better, people can say, oh, that they mean. Why doesn't like Mark Gordon, he make the thing simpler for it? He's not doing that. So once you make the common man understand what is happening, why the process is like that, even their preparation for Parliament. You see, a lot of people are accusing Mrs. Hollis as being heavy-handed, but they're not saying, hey, opposition, you're not coming to Parliament ready. You're not prepared. You don't know the rules and standing orders of Parliament. You're behaving like little children who, when a time for recess, right? Understand? All right.
Because you're correct. All they really have to do is to cooperate within the standing orders, and everything will go well. Yeah.
Simple.
Ask questions, because no one is telling the opposition they can't ask questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things, and then it look as if, and Dan Jackson Miller said it perfectly. It's like a school teacher beat her over the head with the standing order, because whenever they do something, she presents the standing order and said, look here, no, me not be by a seat in the book. And she keeps saying, week after week, be abreast of the standing order, week after week. And this is the problem. They are not prepared. They're not prepared. And what I see coming, and I've seen a different step in Damian. Damian is trying, the Damian in the Senate is not the Damian now, right? And it looks like a leadership challenge is afoot. It looks like that. I'm telling you, right? But you don't see the responsible side of the opposition on a whole. You're not seeing it coming forth.
Crawford is positioning himself to become leader of the PNP.
Absolutely. You mean, but even Dayton's position of softened.
By the way, where is Michael? I haven't heard from Michael Phillips.
Nobody has heard from him.
Have you, by the way, Scratchy, have you seen Michael?
No, since the election,
Michael has been very silent,
Have you seen him in Parliament?
No, he's very silent, neighbor. Maybe he's trying to get a loan to repay his campaign,
Oh yeah, he's been missing. Haven't seen him at all. I understand that there is problem brewing in Northwest Manchester, that the people down there need help and they can't find him. Wow. And I hear they're turning to Damian Young, but Damian Young is saying
There's many parts of his constituency, you know, that I interviewed several persons' neighbor that in 2025 has never had light and still don't have light, still don't have running water. Like there's no electricity at all. So I asked the persons over and over, are you saying that there are light wires there but no electricity in them? They said, no, there's no light wires at all.
That's what I
So,
said.
and they list out a myriad of towns and areas, and I'm saying, in 2025, are you saying this? And they said, yes. So he has a lot of work to do down there.
That's what I
A
said.
lot.
That's the son of Uncle. That's
One on the Muslim. One last thing, Muslim. One last thing.
No man, I was just adding to your point.
4 charities. 4 charities, right? 1 overseas and 3 here. Peter Bunting has charities. Dayton has charities, right? Peter Bunting is also associated with a company called Amalgamated Limited. Mark Golding and Peter Bunting associated with Rerum. These companies bring in dry goods, right? Where is the donation from Proven and all these companies that they're associated with? Where? We have seen nothing from them. Nothing. These are opportunities for you to sell yourself. Proven is a part of the Private Sectors Association of Jamaica, right? Or even the financial entity. We have not seen Proven showed up any at all. They don't have to do it. Their general manager can be there. Their director can be there. The CEO can be there. We see, I remember Keith Duncan is in charge of that section of the private sector and RG Marks. Where is their representative there? We have seen JMMB pushing the people down there. We've seen KFC, we've seen many of these big companies. Where is Proven?
All right.
We have not seen anything.
And to add to your point, still, as I said, as the opposition leader, you is in a great situation where all he has to do is just show up, or any little help can make it look like a big help. Like you can just come and just donate like 1,000 Pampers or 2 gallons of water. You understand? No one is saying for you to donate millions upon millions or whatever, you know. But for you to just show up at an urgently pace before the Prime Minister or just give something can make the person know that, you know what, he is initiative, he's caring enough. Whatever you may do, as I said, just for him to show up says a lot more than you going on the mic and talking foolishness.
Guys, final thoughts from the panel as we bring tonight's program to an end. Let's start with Scratchy. Scratchy, your final thoughts.
Yes, neighbor. Final thoughts. Start everyone in a disaster. I know I'm not about the disaster here, you know. Just still never want a disaster here, so just continue to remain calm. I understand the pain, you know. Let's continue to keep it cool. Let's know that we will recover stronger. Prime Minister and the government at large is definitely working on your behalf and it's making moves. And just continue to silence out the noise coming from the opposition benches and the opposition leader, in particular opposition members. Don't pay no attention to them guys. They are not about your development and your well-being. They want to hold you guys in the situation that you have been living in over all these years. This government is going to make you guys recover stronger. I will promise you so we can make you recover stronger. I will promise you so we can make you recover fully for the next category 5 hurricane. We don't know what might come with, but definitely, but not so much houses will be damaged to the extent of this going forward. More resilient and stronger than the Prime Minister say. A lot of person on the platform never, so give that person a chance, you know? Blessed night to everyone as well.
Take care of yourself. Harry?
I just want to leave